dancing on my own. See if you can follow. Got me feeling alive. Watch me go, lose control. Is this real? All I feel. Break the signs. Every time let's be real, be real, be real. I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. I want. Hear me now, I do what I want. Are you ready now? 'Cause it won't be easy. Only get what you work for. Gotta go all out. Whenever you see me, don't be wasting my time. Watch me go, lose control. Is this real? All I feel. Break the signs. Every time let's be real, be real, be real. I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want. Hear me now. Watch me go, lose control. Is this real? All I feel. Break the signs. Every time let's be real, be real, be real. I do what I want. Ooh, I do what I want.
Good morning. What's new, pussycat? Hi. What's new, pussycats? Happy Sunday. Y'all, give me just 1 second. Well, Mr. Crimes and Fashion needed to tell me something the minute I came on, and I kept doing one of these, like, hold on so I can, because at that time I couldn't click mute yet. And now he left. Let me just text him real quick. Hey, I'm muted. Do you need to tell me something? If so, just come out in the kitchen. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh God, I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry, y'all. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And my phone's listening to every word I'm saying. All right, never mind. If it's important, he'll come and I have my office door open, so he'll come in the line of sight and do one of these. Happy Sunday. How's everybody doing? I am fantastic. Thank you for asking. How's Manatee County? Is it still standing? Because I personally just felt like after Friday, Manatee County should have taken my my suggestion under advisement and perhaps issued a shelter in place order, because there was one pissed off psycho sounding bull skank on the loose. How is this is make y'all, does this hat look straight? I had a different hat on, and then I was like, shit, I forgot I love that neon pink hat. I love a hat. And I actually just had my hair done too. It's like, what, bitch, why are you putting a hat on when you don't even have roots? Oh well. I'll probably take it off midstream, and this was my other choice. I love this one. But anywho, um yeah, boy, Betty. Oh God, Betty was God was she God was she just like I've never heard her that evil and off the chain. I mean, that's kind of her baseline, but my God, did she say some of the most heinous, disgusting shit I've ever heard one person say to another on here. I mean, the shit Betty was saying, y'all, I just realized I was doing a Betty. I was not looking in the camera. Jesus, get your shit together, Lisa. Um, but yes, Betty was, my God, was she off the chain? It was wow. I, I wouldn't say to Betty, and I think we all know uh how I feel about Betty and what useful purpose I think she serves in society, and that would be zero. Um, but I would never say some of the shit I heard her say to QB. Bitch, you need help. You are on a downward spiral. And I have to take a little bit of issue with something I heard. Um, I well, apparently Beer Can Island, allegedly, and I don't know if it's true or not, uh, but allegedly went by Betty's house. Here's what I'm going to say about that. And I got love for Beer Can. Okay, she was one of, I think she's been around for quite a long time. Even when I had my first channel, I believe she was gracious enough to subscribe to me. And she's been very supportive of my channel. She shows up for a lot of my lives. Um, I can tell you this. I know there is bad blood, or I shouldn't say bad blood because I don't know that. She's like the rest of us. She thinks Betty's a POS. Okay. But what I was going to say about that is she lives not too far from Betty. She has actually told me something Betty did to her offline. Um, I believe she doxed her in a Facebook group, and she also knows some of Betty's family. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about it. Um, and if she did go to Betty's, do I would I ever do that? That would be a resounding fuck no. I wouldn't. I would do what I don't even like sharing the state of Florida with that bitch. Would I go to her house? Hell no. I would do everything possible to not have to breathe the same atmosphere as Betty. Okay. That's me. Um, and apparently, QB laughed along with whoever else was on the panel at the time when it was being said in the chat, supposedly by Beer Can, that she went by Betty's and said something along the lines of, uh, Betty said something about, are you with Queen Bee? And allegedly she said, have you been served? Now, here's what I'm going to say about it. Because there's, several people who were very, they just really felt strongly about the fact that QB should have told her, don't do that. Here's what I'm going to say. I have never gone real life on anybody. I don't condone anyone going real life. However, if you want to be this person that Betty wants to be, which is just an ignorant, thirsty ass shitbag who will do anything for the attention that she so badly craves. Well, you cannot be surprised when people maybe want to give you a little taste of your own medicine. So fuck Betty. Uh, I wouldn't do it. And all I would say to Beer Can is, girl, I don't think it's safe. I'm not about to tell you what you should or should not do. But for your own, girl, I like you. I don't want to see anything happen to you. And, Betty's not exactly the picture of mental health at the moment, not in my opinion. So, but, I'm sorry. You're talking apples and airplanes when you've got, when speaking about going real life, okay? No, listen, nobody should do it. I do not condone it. However, if you're talking about two people who have, YouTube beef for whatever reason, and one of them decides to reach out and touch the other person's real life, and it's strictly been confined to YouTube, of course not. Nobody should ever do that. All I'm saying with Betty is, listen, you're the people who are, very mortified by the fact that everyone on QB's panel did not say, I disavow that or whatever the phrasing was. I mean, it all kind of means the same thing. I'm not going to sit here and try and come up with other synonyms. I don't need to. Because for once, this isn't about Betty. But it was just something I was listening to yesterday. And I'm sorry. When you want to be, if I'm not going to sit here and get all offended on behalf of Betty, fuck her. That's how I feel about it. Truly. I would not. I don't care what happens to her. I really don't. That bitch has been the most vile, fucking disgusting person, all in the name of attention. She wants to tell other people about their mommy and daddy issues. Bitch, hold the phone. You clearly, I've never seen anybody so fucking thirsty for attention like you. So save it. And I don't care what people do. I will absolutely agree with the fact that I think in terms of your personal safety, nobody should. I wouldn't go, like I already said, I wouldn't go anywhere near Betty, because I would definitely agree that she seems to have had a break from reality. But guess what? If her own family don't fucking care enough to try and get a hold of her and her behavior, well, I'm going to sit back and observe. And when she finally gets what's coming to her, I'm going to laugh. That's it. That's all. So I do not hold Betty in the same regard as I hold about, I don't know, probably 95 to 98% of the other creators on this platform. Betty has been, that bitch ought to get down on her knees. No, not for that, because nobody wants any of that. Except maybe in the Chili's parking lot by the dumpster. But Sister Christian, she ought to get down on her knees every night and thank God that she hasn't gotten what's coming to her. You cannot, this is what I keep saying. If you want to be this person, well, yes, it's your constitutional right to be a fucking asshole, and you're good at it, I gotta say. But you cannot then be surprised when, people who, for whatever reason, decide they want to give you a little taste of your own medicine. And I'm not about to say that I give a fuck. Okay. So enough of that. I I do not have this pulled up. Let me grab it real quick. And hello, everybody. I hope y'all are having a great weekend. I've had a very nice weekend. Let's see, what did I do Friday? Friday, I hung out with my mom. And yesterday I just kind of lazed around the house, not doing much of anything, which was nice. I started watching, what the hell was that show? Something on BritBox. Oh, it's called is it called Crime? It's just called Crime. It's on BritBox. There's 2 seasons. It takes place in Edinburgh. Is it Edinburgh? I think that's how you pronounce it. Scotland. It's fantastic. Oh God, am I going to be able to do this with? Oh fuck, is it going to work? Because it's all about how it looks. It's not about. What can I say? I'm a shallow bitch. Okay, so what we are going to discuss, what I'm going to review is Cracking Cases, which is Cam and Aly. They did a live. I believe it was yesterday. I listened to the whole thing in its entirety today. Give me 1 second. There's their channel. I'm going to put the link to their channel, which is going to be somewhat ironic after I review it, because it will be ironic for reasons which will be quite apparent. I reviewed Cam and Aly once before it's been several months back. And that is the one and only time I've ever reviewed anything from Cam and Aly. I was never a subscriber. I have absolutely no history with Cam and Aly at all. What I know of them is I have several friends who were really big fans of them. And I have to say, before we get started on this, I am absolutely rooting for them. I truly, truly am. When I reviewed their live from many months ago, where they felt the need to come out and tell YouTube all their personal business along with their children's, it really very much touched me. Despite the fact that I have no history with them at all, it just hurt my heart. And after I watched the one from last night, I felt much the same way. And I just feel like I think I'm probably old enough to be their mother. I don't know how old they are. I would say 30s somewhere. This is not as it was before. This is in no way done to bash them, to shame them, etc. I think sometimes we need to hear things, hard truths from people who have no reason to tell us anything but what their life experience and intelligence tells them, only for purposes of kindness and compassion for them. I have been 2 times on a panel with Cam, and it was, I don't even remember. Okay, the first time was when I had my first channel, and he was on White Rabbits one day, and I think I was already up on the panel. We were just shooting the shit about, I don't even know what. I mean, it's been a couple of years ago. He came on. He was lovely. I have to say, I think they are 2 of the most likable people on here. So I was on that panel with him at that time, and it was not, we were not talking about anything serious. It was just fun. And if I remember correctly, it was on the weekend. The next time, he was on Heels in the Air, and it was not too long before she died. And that was a little more serious, what we were discussing there. And I do believe that was before. Yes, that was definitely before they really started. Well, it was definitely before their video telling people what was going on in their life related to their struggles with sobriety. And even a couple of years ago when he was on Rabbit's panel, I remember saying to her afterwards that he definitely did not appear to be sober to me at that time. At that time, I think it looked like maybe he was just drinking. And it was never like that. Was just between me and her. I certainly never said that to anyone else. I don't know the man. But I do know what somebody sounds like when they don't seem to be sober. And on Heels, I don't remember exactly what he came on to talk about something related to summer. And I don't remember what Heels was talking about. I don't think it was strictly about summer, but the discussion just kind of led there. And he was lovely. So when I reviewed them the first time, I think I said at least at the end, but probably other places in that live, that I truly hoped that I would never have to talk about them again. And this morning, when I got the link to the video, my first thought was, oh God, no. Why? What? Why? And y'all know I don't typically listen to, like, I can only listen to Betty when I can scream at her when I'm reviewing her. I have already listened to all of this because I wanted to make sure that I had the complete context before I came up and gave my thoughts on some things that I've heard. And I really hope I tagged them because I truly, I hope you all will at least listen to just a little bit of what I've got to say. And listen, addiction touches everyone's life in some form or fashion. Kind of like 6 degrees of separation. You're not going to find anybody in this country, I would not imagine, who has not had their life touched by, affected, or known, if not themselves, known someone who has struggled, and in some cases mightily. So this is everything I'm going to say is coming from a place of love and respect. And I truly mean that. I don't know what it is, but there's something about these two that I really think I want them to succeed. I do. And I hate that I'm going to talk about this again. But if when I was weighing whether to talk about this or not, the question I was asking myself was, on the remotest chance that there could be something I could say that they would receive in from someone who is not in competition with them, never was in competition with them, etc. We have no history. If there's even the remotest chance that there's something I could say that they hear and receive it in the spirit in which it's intended, I mean, it wasn't really that hard of a decision for me to make. And I truly, because I did the last live, when they told their story, well, I mean, in all honesty, the main reason that I'm doing this is because I think there is nothing more destructive to their sobriety than this shitty place. And this place is going to do absolutely nothing good for them. Nothing. And I think, I don't know them, but just based on what I heard before from Cam, it sounds to me like YouTube was kind of the beginning of, especially when they got involved with Don and Candace. And by involved, I mean, they went out there to see the house, blah, blah, blah. I'm rooting for you guys, but I know that this place, it's not, you should not fire a channel back up, period, end of story. Not in true crime, not in fucking knitting, not in tennis, not in anything. Not now. Not now. Y'all, there are very specific reasons that I YouTube the way I do. Because I know this place in and of itself is very much its own kind of drug. And it seems that a lot of troubled or damaged people are drawn to this. And I'm not, that is not directed at Cam and Aly. I'm just speaking in general terms. A lot of people who are starved for attention, for accolades, who maybe never had, like, look at somebody like Betty. If you think that YouTube was just the beginning of Betty being a shitbag, it was not. If I had to guess, based on everything she's said, she's been troubled since an early age. I mean, you don't have to be a damn doctor to see that the ever escalating behavior is in a bid to get attention. I mean, and she's not the only one. But I know the very thing that fuels this place is nothing. It's what makes it the most dysfunctional. At least this neighborhood, it breeds contempt because the fuel that makes this run is ego and money. And I know for me, and I feel like I've got a pretty good head on my shoulders. I have not always, trust and believe that. But I've lived enough life now and had enough life experience that I know this even for the most together person, this place, it is, I don't think it's good for anybody to be on here on the daily. And if you want to grow a channel, I've said many times, if you don't think that I know how to do that, I definitely do. I choose not to do a lot of the things that are easy. You just get into a beef with somebody with a big channel. I mean, there's lots of things you can do to be a Betty. I don't ever want to be a fucking Betty. But the problem is people get so absorbed in this place that, let's bear in mind, this is not a real place, okay? This is not your real life. I understand people use it as a source of income, etc. And that's fine and dandy. I mean, everybody, you do you. I just know for me personally, I've seen it with many other people. The more time you spend here without stepping away from the insanity, the more you start to believe that all of this is the real world. It's not my real world. And like I said, this place can be a drug all its own. I think there's a lot of people who, for whatever reason, have not ever had the kind of attention that they can garner on here. That does not mean that it's good or positive attention. But look, there's many channels that we can look at and see that people don't give a fuck. All the Discord shit. I mean, there's a reason I stay as far away from that shit as I can get. And hey, that is not to say that I have not sat back and thought, well, gosh, it would be fun to be with all the cool kids, off YouTube. But, it's almost the same kind of thing, just VIP invitation only. But I know better. That's why I don't do it. But that's just me. And if I can sit in this chair and say that I have enough self-awareness and I know myself well enough, and I don't lie to myself. I know exactly who I am, and I know who I am not. I know what I am. I know what I am not. Which is why I treat it like I do, because I could see myself getting too sucked into all of this. And then you lose all perspective. I heard somebody say, it might have been B. Tim, and I thought it was it was totally on point. And not just for what the subject was, but for anything on here. And he said, you can tell when somebody's been on here too long and they've basically drunk their own Kool-Aid, because you start to believe that some of the things that people say and do on here, and listen, I'll put myself in that category. If you think there is one circumstance, if I saw Betty out at the grocery store or wherever, I would do one of these and get the hell out of Dodge as fast as I could. I would never say to her the shit I say on here, because I like my face just as it is. I wouldn't be looking to get curb stomped or something. And I could see Betty doing something like that. So, but he was mainly talking about when you lose sight of the fact that you've done something or said something that's so foul that you would never do in your real life. That's when you've lost too much perspective about this place. So, so yeah, that's why I just know for me, I have to set limits for myself. And I think too many people can't do that, don't want to do that, whatever. But I don't care who you are. This place will have you believe in shit about yourself that is not true. There is not a mofo on here who's fucking famous. Betty, you're not famous. You are infamous, if anything. And it doesn't, I'm not just talking about Betty. So I really hope Cam and Aly will not be making YouTube a part of their life again, but I think they're going to. All right, y'all, we're just going to get going on this. I appreciate all of you being here. You know, I always try and say hello to everybody individually, but in the interest of time, I'm not going to do that. But if anyone's new, welcome. And for all of you returning, that I thank so much for supporting me and my channel. Welcome back. All right, let's get this going. I did put his link. Yes. Okay. Let me just let the ad play for a minute and then we'll get right into it. Oh, I gotta rewind this. Okay. Let me get past this intro too. Shit, another ad. All right, we're gonna skip that. And by the way, I do have a few friends who absolutely love Cam and Aly and listen to them faithfully. And I never listened, not because of any other reason, but time. It was like, oh my God, there's so many people that I would love to listen to, but I'm like everybody else. We don't have time to. All right, let me see if I want to get rid of the chat. We don't need to have the chat. Oh, that'll be gone when I full screen it. Okay. Hold on one second. Oh, beer can. There you are. Girl, I just don't want anything to happen to you. But I'm not going to sit here and shame you. You're grown up. But just remember who you're dealing with. All right. All right. I'm just going to go all the way to the end of the chat. In the event that I am able to talk and watch at the same time, y'all know I'm probably not. Hey, Prissy, how are you? Okay. Oh, well, there you go. That's one of the people I was just speaking of. Prissy, I know was. I know she was. And I'm sure she still is. Big fans of Cam and Aly. Share screen. Okay. I think I will move them over in my other one though. Okay. I'm going to full screen. All righty. Here we go. There, it's over. Oh, Taylor, I would love to hear my thoughts. Not that mine are any more important than anybody else's. They are not. But like I said, sometimes there's no reason except good intention. sometimes that people receive that more than, people they don't think have good motives.
Now, can you hear me? Let me know. Get a thumbs up in the chat. I don't
I
have a
couldn't read
camera
his hoodie
tonight
when I was on.
because
Oh, now I see what it says.
I just actually first time I put my computer up and put it together was today.
Cam, put it back in the box.
All this time I've actually not even had a computer, and being even active in my home. So if that tells you anything. Give me a second. It's AC on low. It is loud. There we go. Okay, so I hope everybody's doing good. I've made a couple of shorts, and Aly, I'm sure will be in here in a minute. She didn't even know that I was gonna do a live tonight. But I wanted to because first and foremost, I haven't said anything not supposed to since the very beginning of this. If anybody ever followed this channel, the one thing we did not do was put our kids' faces or anything on the channel. So, what it is. I'm not going to argue.
And thank God. And just a word on that. I don't know why. I wish nobody would ever even speak of their children on this platform. There's just too much. I just have never seen an upside to it, period, end of story. That's just me. I have a son that's probably, I don't know how old Cam and Aly are. I think they're in their 30s. My son's not quite that old, but I've never said my son's name on here. I've never said my husband's name, and I won't. Just remember this. I just see no upside to it, but that's just me.
I know what kind of parent I have been. Aly knows what kind of parent she's been. And obviously the court does too. And that's what we're going to laugh about tonight. Because there's been a couple channels here and there I've paid attention to that are spreading straight lies and misinformation.
Unfortunately, that's never going to go away. Ever. I understand wanting to vindicate yourself, but to me, we're just going to let it go.
And honestly, they're doing it while my information from the court is sitting in their video right behind.
And I think that's fucking foul, just for the record.
And I was like, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, literally, this is what the true crime community has been left with. No, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good creators out there, but there is some that people follow blindly that don't even know how to read a court website.
I didn't even know that. Well, I guess because of the criminal charges, that's why people can get this information. And here's another thing I'm going to mention. He's going to talk about this a little further on. CPS. Well, I understand that CPS is different in every state. I know a thing, not from personal experience, but I can tell you during, like, right after COVID, I used to listen on YouTube to nothing but the Centex Child Protection Court, which is Central Texas. They were doing the hearings via Zoom. Judge Karen Sims. Every day I would spend hours watching the CPS hearings. It was fascinating to me. And I have also gone through guardian ad litem training. So I do have, I have maybe a little more understanding than perhaps the average bear.
So we can go over that. It doesn't matter. But it is kind of funny because, you know, they definitely ain't going to point out their mistakes, even though I got all there did also. But it's whatever. Oh, yeah. We're criminology. I wish that I could tell you what me and Aly have accomplished since
I have no clue who criminology is.
stepping away from
The
you.
record.
But as you all very well know, I will never put my personal business
Sarah,
out
you
on
got a
this
dog
thing.
whether you want one or not.
Ever. Because it doesn't matter if you're telling truth, if you are blatantly lying.
He's
it
right
doesn't
about
matter,
that.
because people will twist it to whatever their narrative is. And I lost so much hope and faith in our justice system to do this. I already had my views and didn't trust a lot of it. But to go into a court trial that I had video evidence of the past 3 years on the internet for the public to see, and nobody even took the time to even try to look at it.
I don't know what he is specifically talking about there. I don't know if he's talking about in relation to his children. I was confused by what he meant about that. But, you know, the reality of it is courts are the dockets are absolutely log jammed. And, you know, nobody's going to listen to hours of video evidence. But I wish I knew. He might say later on more specifically what he's talking about.
Only happy when it rains says, so funny not having your kids while laughing, Cam. Not a good one.
Listen, people laugh. Life, I don't know what this person is referring to. I guess it's just somebody in the chat who wants to come in and, you know, just really add something, you know, make a positive contribution to the chat. I don't know, but you know, I don't know if the man's laughing or not. I don't know how would he know, because we're not seeing his face. But, you know, even people who listen, some of the most inappropriate laughter I've ever heard has been at funerals. It happens. I mean, that's not, we don't need to crucify this guy because he's laughing. I mean,
so yeah, let's highlight that quick. Because, well, it's not a good look, she said. Well, if you were listening to anything that I was saying just now, you might have caught on to something. This is another thing that we deal with, because people can't even read a court sentence, whatever.
That is why it's not in your interest to be on here. I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of shitty asshole people on here who love nothing more than to just come and spread misery around. And when you are in a vulnerable place, which they are, I mean, they don't have their children. And I'm going to say right now, for the record, there is not a doubt in my mind that they love their children. Okay? None. And, you know, I know that there are people who will say, well, you couldn't love your children if you're doing X, Y, and Z. I don't agree. You can very much love your children, but be unable to conquer whatever demons are in you that you're trying to deal with whatever is your substance of choice.
And I'll explain it to you.
That doesn't mean,
but
that doesn't mean, I think, for 1 minute that the children, if they need to be removed, they need to be removed. Period. End of story.
Afraid if I explain it, people will still say the same thing because they don't hear what you really have to say. it's so funny not having my kids. Is that what you said? Okay, so
See, this is not helpful at
my
all.
kids were taken under 10.
And it's, God, if there's one thing I can say, and not just to them, you please do not use YouTube as a friggin' therapy platform unless you are specifically in a, that's like your community. I see no, I understand people come to this platform for all kinds of reasons and they use it for all kinds of reasons. But in a situation like this, Cam, Aly, your children, they're, if they want to, they can hear all of this one day. And there's just nothing, there's nothing good is going to be accomplished coming back here so soon.
In that time, me and my wife have made plans every week to visit our children.
All right, now I want you to listen to this because this is one of the first things he said that made me go, because while I'm going to do this with love and respect, I'm still going to tell you what I think you need to hear. And this is a place where I said, you know, if things don't sound right, they usually aren't.
The people that have my children make excuses week after week after week and never bring them.
My understanding is they're with his mother still. I'm gonna let him go just another few seconds here.
Okay. I guess that's my fault too.
Okay. In a situation like this, where the courts are involved, what typically happens is, because I'm just going to go ahead and speculate, but my guess would be, knowing what I know about the Guardian Ad Litem program and just CPS in general, their visitation is obviously supervised. It sounds to me like it is supervised at, you know, they have these offices or centers. Sometimes it's done at CPS, but sometimes it's done at a facility that's all they do. They supervise visitation. And it's not always just for CPS. I mean, it can be in nasty divorces. Judges can say visitation is to take place at, you know, XYZ center. When they are granted court mandated visitation, it is very hard for me to believe that on a consistent basis, the other party, his mother, the guardian of those children, is not complying with the court-ordered visitation. And if that is the case, you should be filing motions with the judge so that you can make it known. It doesn't sound right to me. I'm not saying he's lying. I'm saying it doesn't sound logical to me.
Does that not call parental alienation?
Yes. Yes.
I have seen my kids 3 times this whole year.
That breaks my heart. And see, here's where like it's conflicting, because I mean, it's coming straight from him. He hasn't seen them more than 3 times in a year. Well, I'm sorry, Cam, you're well-spoken. So is Aly. You're not dumb. I find it hard to believe that y'all could not figure out how to file a motion with the court to get this resolved.
But yet I make visits, and Aly makes visits for every week. But I've seen my children 3 times this whole year. Is that a court system that y'all want to be involved in?
No. And here's another thing that's sounds off to me. Do you know that even parents who have been accused of some of the most heinous things one can do to a child, do you know that even those parents oftentimes get visitation with said child? Now, it's sometimes only video visitation, but this does not sound right to me.
I sent the pictures from Common Sense True Crimes channel where she was asking for money for my mom and posting my mom's Cash App on there.
That's foul as fuck. Let me say that. That's just vile. I mean, I just think it's horrible for any channel who feels strongly that, you know, they're bags of shit or whatever to be, I mean, why is anybody from YouTube involved with the mother? I mean, when I talked about this the first time, that's when that fucking Cher was getting information allegedly from the mother and then bringing it to YouTube. I tell you what, there are so many just fucking amoral scumbags on here. It's like, and this is why, Cam, Aly, please do not come back to YouTube. Just don't. There's nothing good this place is going to bring your life right now, or
if
your
y'all don't remember from
children's.
the get-go when this started, I said this was about money.
And I do believe I said back then that if you had proof that your mother was in contact with Cher and giving her information about the case, about your children, that you should have filed an immediate emergency motion with the judge to get her at the very least admonished that she is not to be in contact with any YouTubers. Judges can do that.
If a mother cared about her children, her child, her oldest child that she claims for, if she cared about me and cared about Aly and thought that there really might have been an issue, would you not try to help your child?
Cam, I've heard parts of your life story. Some of the, unfortunately, the bad parts. If the things you have said about your mother are true, and I see, no, I wouldn't expect that from your mom, not based on the things I've heard you say. And I can tell you, it's apparent to me that you desperately want that. And why wouldn't you? And I'm sorry. Like I sympathize with him in so many ways. I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to be. I'm not diagnosing him. But I don't think you have to be a doctor to make the connection that, when you're craving something that you haven't had, well, you look for that validation in other places. And like I said, it brings a lot of people to this platform looking for whatever it is they're looking for. And when you get a taste of it, you obviously you don't want to let it go. And I mean, I get that, but
instead of going and trying to take their careers away, everything to get a check. Why didn't anybody ever come to us and say, hey, if you guys need some help, we would be glad to watch the kids so you could go get help? That never happened.
By anybody in your family? I mean, he says at some point down the road that Aly's parents don't have anything on their records that would have prevented them from having guardianship over the kids. I don't even know if they live in the same place, but it's kind of hard to believe that I could. And hey, I mean, I might get crucified for this, but I'm just going to go ahead and say I don't have a hard time believing that his mother perhaps wouldn't do something like that, but anyone in the whole family on both sides, that doesn't sound right either.
My mom never even came and saw us for 6 months leading up to this. I made my kids go with my mom because we were getting ready to move. And they said they were going to take them camping. And I said, the kids didn't want to go. And I said, no, you need to go. Spend time with your family, because we thought we were moving far away for a job and all of it. And I made them go, and I have to live with that.
So if somebody knows in the chat, am I understanding correctly? Were the kids already with his mother for purposes of a vacation or whatever it was? And then did she decide she wasn't going to give them back, and she went to court and got some kind of an emergency order? That's kind of what it's sounding like.
Another thing, since people want to know the truth about everything, and if you guys were following us, there's a lot of people that know this. Somebody randomly called social services before my mother did this, and they showed up unannounced at my kid's school.
Yeah, that's something that they do. And Cam, I have to say, and he's admitted that he, fell off the wagon, so to speak. I heard more than one clips of lives where you definitely sounded really bad. So I am not at all surprised that someone called.
About a month and a half, or maybe 2 months before.
I mean, let's face it. People here use CPS as a weapon, even if they know it's complete and utter bullshit. There's a lot of shitbags who have no compunction about picking up the phone and calling CPS.
Or this happened, twice they showed up unannounced and spoke to my kids, and the case was closed due to no findings. So if there was issues at the house, and the kids knew about all these things that are now being said, how come it wasn't
said by who? See, here's where, when you don't listen on the regular, like, I'm kind of lost, but yeah, I'm not sure what he's talking about. Hey, Diamond Cutter, how are you? Hey, to anybody coming in.
How come no issues were found then? But then, after 2 weeks of being out of our care and being coerced and told, the judges jumped on my mom for telling them, speaking in front of them about everything under the sun. They're children. They don't.
Oh, God. That, one of the worst things you can do is shit talk a child's parent or parental figure. It's one of the most destructive, fucking selfish, shitty, horrible things an adult can do. Love your kids more than you hate the other person. Because when you shit talk those kids, well, you're shit talking them, because part of them is the other parent.
Don't need to hear these things. They didn't know the things that were oh, it makes me so angry. So angry.
Oh, see, and I can hear it in his voice. I have no doubt these two love their kids. I can tell you that. But I don't believe several things that I heard. They don't know me.
I love my baby more than anything in this world.
I don't doubt that at all.
Do you really think that we were out? And everybody says, oh, don't give them money. We weren't asking for money. We all know for 3 years we ran this channel and didn't ask for a dime. We were out trying to help find missing children for the satisfaction of seeing a child saved alive.
See, and this is kind of leading into what I talked about the other day. I think YouTubers are far too involved in things that they do not have the training, the education, the experience to be involved in. Oftentimes, I think it could compromise a case, and I'm not saying this about them, but I mean, when I hear things like this, I have to sit back and say, my God, we are all have so much to do in our lives, and you've got small children. It's like I I can appreciate the desire to do what he's talking about, but to me, it's not something you should be doing. Not to that kind of level. You've got your own priorities that have to come first, and there's only so many hours in the day. And I just think in general, I don't know when we got to this place, probably with, true crime getting just exploding online, where everybody thinks that they're an investigator, boots on the ground. Stop. I mean, sit and talk about it, whatever. But actually, like, involving yourself in these cases, I don't think anybody should be doing it. Period. End of story.
And we found two
That's my
kids
opinion.
alive and well.
And I think that is absolutely amazing. I mean, kudos to you for that. But you've got I would think you've got far too many other things that you need to be focusing on. Work, children. I don't know where you get the time to do this. You got to worry about your own.
This sounds pretty counterproductive. Anyway. So we'll get to the criminal hearing involved. And I can speak about it now because you know what? The judge never said I couldn't speak about it.
But why? Why? It's the reason my ass is sitting in this chair trying to talk to you. It's why people that you've got beef with, or just, y'all just don't care for each other. You're giving them a bonfire worth of ammunition to use against you. And I hate to see it. I shouldn't know any of this shit, but I do.
And I'm just telling the truth about what happened.
We don't need to know. It's not our business.
I don't care if people need details or not. I felt like
fuck that. Fuck them.
To people.
If anybody tells you that they need details, no. Nobody's entitled to any of this. This is your life and your kids, but you are making it content for people. And I don't know why.
Because I have nothing to hide. I came on this channel back months ago and I said, whatever problems I was struggling with, I fixed them. I fixed them before I was even told to fix them.
See, and that worries me too. I fixed them. And it could just be he's misspeaking. But my understanding is whatever your substance is, if you are an addict, you are always an addict. There is no fixing. You're not fixed. You're in recovery. You're no longer in active addiction, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that it's just the way he put it. But it worries me to hear him say he fixed it. And kudos to him for not having to be, to both of them, for not having to be court ordered.
For my kids. And so did Aly. I don't know where to go from all this because there's so many lies still on us, but I'll get to it.
And it bothers me. It's like, why, with everything you've got going on, why do you care about this fucking place? Because Cam, it doesn't care about you. And I don't mean that in a cruel way. And I know, listen, I know there's several people in my chat right now that care about you very much, you and Aly. So I didn't mean it like that. But I promise you, we are all insignificant here. We are here one day and we are forgotten about the next. I mean, it's just the reality of it.
Let's see here.
Doesn't mean people won't ever think of us, in passing or whatever, but this place is meaningless. It should be meaningless in your life. And I'm not talking about people that for whatever reasons, this is their only social interaction because of physical disability or whatever the case. I understand it means something different to everyone. But in a situation like this where you've got all these issues that you need to deal with for yourselves and for your kids, fuck this place. How can it be helpful or productive to have to deal with like the comment that is highlighted on his screen? Nobody who's in the battle that you and Aly are in need to be dealing by choice, voluntarily, with shit like that.
Our kids know weird. Guys, this is what it looks like in a good old boy. Thanks.
I'm going to tell you what I told Betty. The good old boy system has been around since the beginning of time. It is not going anywhere. It exists in every municipality in this country. To think otherwise is naive.
I had my children's school resource officer and principal as a character witness to go talk about our parenting and talk about how our kids were at school. And our lawyers, who were paid lawyers, never felt the need to subpoena them to court for anything.
This also does not sound right to me. That lawyer at that point, well, he wouldn't have been my lawyer anymore. And you're the client. You are the client. And especially when you're paying a lawyer. Because, by the way, any parent who gets involved in a CPS case, much like if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you in a criminal case. If you can prove indigent status and your children you are involved in a CPS case, you will be represented free of charge by an attorney. So I guess I can make a case for why they would pay for one, but and especially at the first hearing, which I think takes place, God, I can't remember. It's fairly quickly. I think it has to take place it's either 3 days or a week. And that might vary by state, but you will absolutely have a lawyer sitting there waiting for you until you either prove indigent status and they continue that court-appointed attorney, or you say, I'm going to retain private counsel. So regardless, either way, you're the client. So I can tell you this, if I was in danger, if my children were removed and I was in danger of possibly losing them, and I had a school resource officer and a principal who was going to testify on my behalf, well, that lawyer would be fired. Period. End of story.
Tell me why that is.
Unless there's something that, I'm not taking into consideration with what he's saying.
Also, there was rumors going around on YouTube. I had third-degree burns on my hand from helping my mother-in-law clear up bees nest.
He did have horrific burns on his hands. And he did say it had something to do with taking a bee's nest out or something.
It was told that I had a lab blow up on me and all this other stuff. And the only drug test I failed that's on record was from the medications that the doctor gave me at the hospital. So out of a year investigation, we had failed no urine screens. Okay. Did a hair follicle test, which showed up that the doctors gave me that shot at the hospital when I had third-degree burns. I have medical records to back everything on me. And let's see.
I
wish I could
highlighted
tell
that.
you the things that we've done, and all those people that were before that get a job, Cam, get a job.
Well, Cam, fuck those people. That's what I'm saying. This is what you're going to have to deal with. I mean, it's not just going to be rainbows and lollipops. You're going to get this. And to me, it endangers your sobriety when you feel like your integrity is being called into question. Just all these things that you should not be worrying about. You've got much bigger things you need to be focusing on than idiots on YouTube.
Not even knowing that I was working, but now, oh,
I'm
gosh,
confused.
dude.
Okay, so he said they never failed any UAs. They did a hair follicle test, and the only thing it showed was the medication that the court or that the doctor gave him. Well, then what are we doing here? What? I mean, in that video that we listened to several months back where he told everybody what was going on, what they'd been charged with, etc. Well, there would have been drugs in your hair from the hair follicle test. It can go back a long way. So I'm not understanding when he says that was the only thing in the hair follicle test. I don't get it.
And through this whole thing, even when we were going through the hardest parts, people told me quit talking about God.
Yes, quit.
Don't talk about God. Don't preach your pulling a Don Wells. Yeah. You know what?
Listen, I'm not going to say anything about preaching. I know that he's very religious, and thank God, because God knows he needs something to get him through. They both do. And there's a lot worse things that he could use to get through. Obviously, I don't need to tell him that, than religion. But the thing about the hair follicle, I'm sorry, I just don't get it. So what happened? Why are you all in this position if there's no there? And you already told us you'd been using. It was very apparent. So the hair follicle thing, it's not ringing true.
But when is the best time to call on the Lord for help?
I would say anytime.
Is there not a better time when you're going through something and it feels like everybody's turned their back on you to turn to the one man that never will turn his back on you? Right? I haven't watched this chat at all. What good ideas? What's buffering? I haven't seen that I've. Let me see here. Oh, I got a comment up here. My bad. I'm going to go back and look at some of this. No, Tiffany, I don't
That bill on
That's
that
not.
other hat is too big.
I actually came on here to just talk about some stuff, just to get it off my chest, because it has been a hard year.
And I have absolutely no doubt that it has been sheer hell.
But it's been a year that, if it wasn't for the grace of God, y'all don't even know what has happened for us. You have no clue, and nobody.
We shouldn't know, Cam. We shouldn't. The only thing you should be doing is fuck anybody out here. You do not owe any of us an explanation for anything. Worry about yourself and your sobriety and getting your kids back.
Nobody in a million years could think
And
or could believe what has happened.
YouTube will only be a distraction from that
Oh,
and
we
a
are.
negative
So
influence. And I am
honestly,
thrilled
you know,
to hear that you are doing so good. I truly am. I want that for you guys. I am rooting for you, and I have been.
whatever the devil uses for bad, God can turn around and use for awesome things. You know, at the beginning of this, you know, I saw what was happening. Maybe that was a stage in our life that we needed to just be done with at home. Allison wasn't happy working where she was working. There was a lot of things I would never say that me being taken away from my children was ever a good thing, because it wasn't. That was so painful, and it still is to this day.
It always will be. That's never going to go away, and you got to find a way to deal with that. If your kids came home tomorrow, that's never. It's never going to go away. That pain.
I've tried to just use my pain as fuel to fight every day. See, no, I know. Look, I'm not worried about the past either, because there might have been mistakes made.
You need to be worried about the past in the respect that those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And that's not just in relation to wars. And we all have to live that way. I mean, we should.
But there was no, and I admit to my mistakes, but there was no reason that my children should have ever went through this.
Well, Cam, I never want to see anybody's kids have to go through it, including yours. But I don't know. They did not just remove your children from your custody for no reason. And of course it wasn't in there. It should have. I mean, if they're living in conditions that are dangerous for them, and I don't just mean, in terms of the physical, but, if you were under the influence of, you were doing some heavy duty drugs, it's despite the fact that I absolutely believe you love your children. Well, love is not enough. Sometimes it just isn't. You cannot be doing what you said you were doing. I'm sorry, you cannot be a safe or effective parent doing that. Sorry.
Anyway, there's a couple channels that were like, "Oh, they take a plea bar and they plead no contest."
There are lots of reasons people plead no contest.
They were just guilty, and they knew it,
and it's not always guilty people that plead no contest.
To pry them.
Sometimes
No.
For practical matters, listen, it's all well and good. We can all sit back and say, I would never plead guilty to a crime I didn't commit. Well, guess what? There's a whole lot of people who've pled guilty to crimes or pled no contest, which is basically saying, I'm not going to plead guilty, but yeah, you got the goods. You could more than likely get a guilty verdict on me if we take it to trial. There's lots of reasons people do it. First and foremost, money. It's very difficult to defend yourself in a criminal case, especially if you have to pay for a lawyer.
We actually wouldn't have been indicted at all if our attorney would have just filed a waiver of indictment. And besides that, we accepted a plea bargain that we said we would never accept. But the only reason why was to keep my children off the stand.
And I have no reason not to believe that. And good for you. And you know what? I'd have done the same thing, because if there's any way to avoid that, well, I think they did the right thing.
Not for anything to benefit me, but to keep my children off the stand from being brought into the court system at a young age and having to do, anything that, anything against their parents, because in the future they could blame themselves for things, and I don't want
kids. I don't know about in this situation, but if it's the case in divorce, we all know that children almost always blame themselves, even though it's not their fault. But they're little kids, and they don't know that, and they don't have the reasoning skills, and they don't understand all the complexities of adult relationships. So it just stands to reason that they would obviously blame themselves, in this situation, even though they are absolutely blameless.
that, because I care about their little hearts. I care about their feelings.
And I absolutely believe him.
So hold on a second. I'm going to pull up something and I'm going to show you something. Hold on. We'll see real quick if I can find it. Give me 1 second. All right. Hopefully y'all can still hear me while I pull this up. Okay. All right. Let me get this. Let's see what everybody's saying here. Okay, yeah. So here's another idiot right here. Let's go ahead and point him out. Cam, if it all went like you're saying, you would have your kids back. If you did no wrong, common sense here. We go acting like we can't see.
See, this is not productive, Cam and Aly. This is not helpful for you. You all are in a vulnerable position. You don't need, I'm sure you have enough. I'm sure you have a hard enough time dealing with your own conscience. Okay. And I have no doubt that they do. Okay. There's very few people, I would say, I don't seem to think have a conscience. I'll let that just lie where it is. I don't believe there are two of them, but it's not productive to have to hear things. And even if they're, 100% gospel truth, it's not benefiting you all in any way to have to do this, to have, to just invite negative things from people who are meaningless in your life. Cam, if it all went like you're saying, you would have your kids back. I do know this. The average CPS case, And when I say average, I don't know if that's, I mean, I would think that the majority of removals probably have to do with drugs. I think about a year is the average CPS case from start to finish. So I don't know how long their case has been going on, but I don't necessarily know that this comment is true, factually true.
Okay. So, sir, when they release the papers, I will put them out.
Do not, under any circumstances, put your children's CPS case out here. My God, please don't do that. If you hear nothing else, and I cannot be the only person saying this, please don't do it. Do not do it. And believe it or not, I had this conversation with another YouTuber a while back who was very angry with someone and had some proof, I guess. Let's just say that this person seemed to have what they thought was proof that somebody they were pissed at was lying about something. And I said, oh my God, whatever you do, do not do that. Don't do that. Cam, there's no benefit to you and Aly in ever doing that. All you're going to do is give people more fuel to the fire.
Just to prove we failed no urine screens. They didn't even do an investigation on our home, and they never saw our kids in their home environment.
Well, they were removed from your home, is my understanding, so they wouldn't see your kids in their home environment. And if they didn't do a home, well, it wouldn't be a home study would have been what they would have done on the mother, or whoever it is that has custody of these children. But did you not say you've moved a few times? So I believe at some point y'all didn't have a home for them to come and look at. So see, this is one of the things that's not ringing true.
That's one thing they didn't do. I didn't have lawyers that would be a voice for that. What are you going to do?
That is absolute utter bullshit. Every child. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. I was going to say every child that goes into the CPS system gets a guardian ad litem. In Texas, that is absolutely the case. In Florida, last I knew, which was a few years ago, when I was speaking to one of the directors of the guardian ad litem program where I live, she said, unfortunately, not in Florida, every child does not get appointed a guardian ad litem because we had far more children in the system than there were guardian ad litems to go around. So I was going to say, all kids get a guardian ad litem, but what they do get is a lawyer. So even if they did not have a guardian ad litem, those children would have been appointed an attorney. And all guardian ad litems are not lawyers. But the lawyers working in the CPS system, they're acting as guardian ad litems. So his children would have had, I would be shocked beyond belief if they did not have their own attorney to represent their interests in court.
The good old boy system.
It's how it goes here. How it goes in Texas.
Here's what people say. Go to the judge and say they're not fighting for you. Do you know how many times judges will actually let somebody get ineffective counsel?
Why would you have needed, first of all, that's ineffective assistance of counsel. What he's talking about, that typically happens after there's been a criminal conviction. And it's what all criminals sitting in jail do. They file ineffective assistance of counsel. You were paying your own attorney. You could have fired that attorney at any point in time
and let them get a new one. It's very, very very few and far between.
Perhaps in a criminal case, but in a case like this, if you were paying out of pocket for your own lawyer and you wanted to find a new lawyer, they're not going to tell you no. That's your right. Maybe the only thing I can figure to try and make what he's saying work in my head is if the judge said, I'm not giving you any more time to seek new counsel. This hearing is going forth as planned, but I would think that would be absolutely pretty rare too. I will say that in the CPS system, those cases, they are absolutely working within statutory guidelines. I think a judge can only put off the final hearing on the case where that's the resolution, period, end of story. Well, no, actually, even then you can appeal that. That's pretty rare that they win. I believe it can only be done. I know in Texas, I think it's one time they can extend that deadline out. They are absolutely have to work within statutory guidelines. Everything's got timing, etc. But what he's saying does not ring true to me.
Second of all,
that being said, I do not claim to know the courts or the law. I'm not Betty. I don't know all the laws in all the states. But I do know when something doesn't make common sense.
The kids were not even taken to CPS till 2 weeks out of our care. And it happened to be the day after my mom lost her job.
I also know that the CPS absolutely has to lay eyes on children. See, this is a different kind of situation because it sounds like the mother had him and then basically was like, I'm not giving him back, and filed for some kind of emergency order. In which case, I would say that, I mean, if it's 2 weeks, it's 2 weeks. If they were able to show enough cause to not force the mother to return the children, then clearly they felt that they were safe where they were, and 2 weeks doesn't sound unreasonable to me. But I don't know.
And she's admitted and said that she acted out of anger and went up there and filed that day.
We have no way of knowing that. I don't know if she did or not.
Emergency custody order happened. I was advised by counsel that I had not even hired yet.
Because you would have been appointed one. That's just the way it works.
Somebody I knew in the hallway. I cross-examined social services. The judge told social services that they tricked us into signing a safety plan that we never agreed to sign.
I've seen safety plans. Typically, they say safety plan on what you're signing. And you would have had to initial probably all the way through each line item in the safety plan. I'm not certain about that part, but I don't know how they would have tricked you into signing a safety plan.
There was no evidence against us. They refused to.
Then why do you not have your children if there was no evidence against you? See, this is where you start losing me. It defies logic.
Urine screening that day said we could alter it. So we went to the emergency custody hearing. At this point in time, the kids had not been home.
I want to hear
2
that.
weeks because
let me go back just a tad because I think that's important what he just said. I want to hear it again.
So that I had not even hired yet. It was somebody I knew in the hallway. I cross-examined social services. The judge told social services that they tricked us into signing a safety plan that we never agreed to sign.
My understanding is if you sign a safety plan, that's kind of like the stopgap between CPS getting involved in your life and trying to take your children away. My understanding has been that the safety plan is like, okay, we don't think it's risen to the level of removal. So, but what we are going to do is we're going to give you a safety plan. And these are things that we expect you either to do or to refrain from doing. That's my understanding of a safety plan.
There was no evidence against us. They refused to urine screen us that day.
There was no evidence against us. If that is the case, why did the judge at that time not say, dismissed? This is unfounded. Those children are to be returned to their parents' custody by the end of the day today. I mean, I don't get it.
Said we could alter it. So we went to the emergency custody hearing. At this point in time, the kids had not been at our home in 2 weeks because we thought they were going camping with my mom.
For 2 weeks? I mean, I guess if they were going camping states away or something, but okay.
At the end of our first emergency custody hearing, the judge said to my mother, I'm not in the business of removing kids from their parents. You will have to come back and prove to me that those kids were in harm's way or death. So, lo and behold.
And typically, they are not in the business of doing that. The system is so overburdened, they don't have enough emergency placement. They always, when they remove your kids, one of the first things they do is they want you to give them the names, addresses, phone numbers, all the personal deets of anyone that you think could be qualified to take custody of your children while you're involved in this process, because they don't have enough foster homes. So
6 weeks go by. Now, mind you, all this happened in July.
The courts are completely
and mom didn't
overburdened.
go to social services till August. Well, guess what? We didn't even get arrested till the end of September because hair test, and I'm sorry, people that don't know the difference, because there's a lot on here that try to argue this too.
All right, pay attention to this, because this is one of the this part right here. I'm like, come on. It just doesn't. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't ring true. While what he's about to say maybe is likely factually correct, I don't believe that was the case for his children.
Do you know what environmental exposure testing is? It's not the same as ingestion. Environmental hair testing says that a child is in the vicinity where either drugs are being done or work. But if you do your research,
and what he's not telling you, and what he's not going to tell you, I don't think, is that there are numbers on that scale that indicate how great the exposure was. That's the part you're not going to hear about.
Anybody that takes their hand through those children's hair and they have sebum or sweat on their hand can transfer any illicit drugs that were in their system.
But at what levels? That's the part he's leaving out.
The children went to a gas station or grocery store and touched the handle or money.
Do you think you're the only person who's ever come up with this argument for why your children had drugs in their hair? You're not. It sounds, while I don't think it sounds plausible, or probable. They don't take people's kids because they have an absolute negligible amount in their hair.
It can be transferred. It's called environmental.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
he's
very,
right.
very, has a lot of holes in it.
And do you know what when he started with this, you know what immediately came to my mind? Yeah, just like prisons are full of people who are innocent. Now, are there people in prisons who are innocent and wrongly convicted? Of course there are. Is it 99% of them, like the 99% who will tell you, I didn't do it, man. I was wrongly convicted. That's what I thought when I heard this argument from him.
Let's just say that. Okay, so the kids were tested the first time with environmental hair testing.
And I just fucking hate that he is discussing this all over YouTube. We shouldn't know about any of this.
Both tests came back inadmissible. They showed nothing and came back inadmissible.
Okay. But that's different than what you said a few minutes ago, which was, well, there was what could have been accounted for by environmental exposure. And now there was nothing. So which is it? And I'm still trying to figure out, then why were they removed? If there is no there, because so far this is what I've gotten from him is there's no there.
3 weeks later, the tests were done again. Now check this out. This is where it gets weird. My children are very close to the same age. They hang out with each other constantly in the same part of the house. They're together all the time. So when they redid these environmental hair testing, the test came back and said that one of my children had oh my gosh, it makes me so mad.
Then why are you laughing? I mean, it's probably just a nervous response, but it's these kind of things that don't help, because not everybody's going to give you the grace that I am and say, it's probably a nervous reaction. You're going to have people like you had pinned on the screen telling you, you're lying. Why are you laughing? There's no upside to this.
One of my children had one illicit substance in their hair, and that my other child had a different illicit substance in her hair.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the same. And
the point would be what?
In both their hair.
So?
Does that sound logical or reasonable?
It would sound logical or reasonable if it was strictly environmental. See what I'm saying? I think that you are, like anybody's going to do. You're going to tell us these things that we shouldn't know at all, but you're going to tell them to us in the most favorable light to yourself. But I don't find it that hard to believe.
After the first one came back as it was indismissible, they didn't find it.
I'm still not clear on that. But it's kind of like, I can tell you in drug screening, there's such a thing when they do a UA, a urinalysis. There's such a thing as what they call a dilute negative, which means, oh yeah, you tested negative, but we feel like it's not a legit negative because it looks like you just drank a whole shit ton of water to dilute your urine. So in most cases, they will consider that testing positive.
They waited 3 more weeks to do it.
And how do they come up with that? Well, it's not by just holding it up to the light and looking at it. There's a scale of numbers. And if you go over or under the amount, whatever the number is that's considered normal, well, in my mind, that's how it could account. And I understand it's hair and it's different, but I can counter the things that he's saying that sound to me like he's dodging something.
So then you have the argument of people saying hair follicle testing, they can go back and see right exactly when a drug was ingested.
I know they can get pretty close.
To what I'm saying. They can go back and look and see when a drug.
And much in the same vein of a dilute negative with urine, if they're going to do hair follicle testing, the judge will tell you, man or woman, do not cut your hair, do not color your hair, do not change your hair from the way it is right now.
Was ingested. The children never ingested any drugs, and no drugs were done around them. So
why are they gone? Am I missing something here? Because up to this point, according to Cam, there is no reason at all why his children were taken.
There, if you don't believe me, look up the court records, or I'll get them. And
do not do that. Please do not do that.
I have no reason to lie. Guess what? My hair follicle test didn't come back with any of those substances in it that the kids had, and neither did Aly's. Thank you.
Well, that's quite bizarre, and I have no idea how that would be accounted for. No clue.
Yes, thank you. This right here. Oh gosh, this right here. No, I'm not defensive. I'm just telling my truth, man.
Anybody would be defensive. I mean, which is why this is not good for you. It's just not. There's no upside to coming on here. I mean, if y'all had been years sober, maybe you are too soon in this process to add. I mean, this place is nothing but fucking negativity. Everybody hates everybody. I mean, it's just, I struggle to find what is the positive upside to them doing this. It's so frustrating. And they're going to do whatever they're going to do. But I'm telling you, nothing good is going to come from this. It's just not.
It's lovely. Did you guys do any jail time? No. Allison got out on a recognizance bond. I'd out on a security.
I don't think Aly had any
the same day.
Prior criminal record at all. I know Cam does, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
And now this person says, why explain yourself to strangers? Because you know what? It's not explaining myself to strangers on YouTube.
No, that's exactly what you're doing. That is exactly what you're doing. And you are giving the detractors and haters, you're giving them content.
We are the only YouTube channel to find 2 missing children alive and well.
You also do not have your own children in your custody. So while I will give you kudos for doing that, I would submit to you that clearly this YouTube channel and whatever you were doing for other people's children came at the expense of your own. And I don't believe for 1 minute that you intentionally meant for that to happen. But it happened nonetheless. You are not a cop. You are not an investigator. I think it's great that you have this kind of a heart that wants to help. That's fantastic. There's so many amazing, productive ways you can help. Going out and playing investigator? No, not one of them. There's a reason that cops go to school. I mean, most jurisdictions now, they want a damn college degree to become a cop. And there's a reason for that. And they take law classes because they have to know these things. So while I applaud your altruism and the desire to help missing children or adults, whatever the case may be, there are other ways to do it besides this.
Very, very, very proud of the accomplishments our channel had done.
And I can totally understand that. And you should be. But that doesn't change the fact that you're in the situation you're in now.
Then turn
and
around
I'm sorry. I can't help but feel, at least from what I know, that YouTube probably played a large part in your relapse.
And have some of the most heinous charges ever.
Oh, what
put on
that
you.
are not the most heinous charges ever. Thank God. I understand. It's horrible, and you want to vindicate yourself. I completely understand that, but they're not the most horrible charges ever where those things are concerned. Thank God.
It hurts.
Of course it does.
It hurts.
And Cam, believe it or not, I hurt for you, for both of you. But I also think you need to hear a lot of what I'm telling you.
They traffic. Yeah. Social service. They
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. Right here. Tinfoil hats, everybody. I'm sorry. And there's probably plenty of people in this chat that maybe believe the same. I do not. I will never sit here and tell you, oh, yeah, social services. Yeah. They traffic in children. Come again. And it's almost always people that, for whatever reason, have found themselves involved in the system that have these crazy assertions. I'm not a conspiracy person. I'm a realist. I'm not saying that I don't think they are not plagued with issues. Of course they are. They do not have the budgets they need. The burnout factor is quick and it's intense because it's a fucking horrible job. You are seeing the people go to college to be social workers. They see the most horrific shit that people do to their children, whether it's abuse or neglect or both. They get huge caseloads that nobody could adequately investigate. And, oh yeah, let's not forget, they don't get paid jack shit. Do I think there are bad social workers who, lie about visits, etc.? Absolutely, without a doubt. I would never dispute that. But I'm sorry, you completely lose me at CPS traffics and children. Give me a fucking break.
They do, and they get
they
get bonuses every time they remove children out of the home, and they get more when they go to.
Where is this information coming from? That's what I'm curious. That's what I would like to see proof of. I would think it would be the opposite situation. I mean, just logically, I would think you would get bonuses for having the least amount of out of the home placements of anyone in the office. I mean, that's because they don't have enough foster homes. They're totally overburdened. I mean, I just don't get it.
Foster care. Okay.
You're going to have to do better than that. Okay. So far, all I've heard is basically there's no there. Nobody was doing anything wrong, yet your children were removed and CPS traffics and children.
Exactly. Look, the environmental exposure testing can come from anywhere at any time. CPS is choosing to use that now because they have. I don't think it should be admissible in court. And you know what? Ours never made it to the courtroom floor either. The only reason we said that we would plead no contest is to keep our daughter off the stand.
I believe that. I believe that. And if they were going to bring your children and put them on the stand, which is done, I would like to think it is done as little as possible, because judges, lawyers, I'm sorry, you will never tell me that everyone involved in the child welfare system is corrupt. Bullshit. A lot of them suck, yes. But, I mean, judges, they don't want to see children traumatized, having to testify against their parents. So if they were going to do that, well, that tells me that there was a good reason they were willing to put your children on the stand.
Anyway,
and I'm glad
play
that you didn't allow that to happen. I'd have done the same thing.
Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. What in the heck? How come I can't? Dude, let me find out. I have forgotten how to play or share my screen on here. Give me just a second.
Oh, it's like riding a bike. I promise you, it'll come right back.
All right, here we go.
Everyone, it's Holly. Just wanted to come on here and clear something up and spread the truth.
Wow. I mean, like, why is it your job to spread the truth? I mean, it's one thing. Of course, what she's not telling you is that is done for a variety of reasons by many people. And obviously, if they got 2 years probation, there is some there, okay? See, this, Cam and Aly, are exactly what I'm talking about, why you should not be on here. Because you get some fucking, whoever this woman is, who thinks that you need to tell the truth. It's none of her fucking business. It's none of my business. But I'm not going to sit up here and put your fucking record out and do all kinds of shit like that, because I think that's just fucking gross. But this is why it's not a good idea. People know no fucking boundaries on here, and that's what pisses me off about this place a lot. Like, everybody's all overly involved, just like this whole thing with Queen Bee the other day. And, well, you never said that your mom, was your aunt. It's nobody's fucking business, these things. They're just not. But everybody is like, I don't know, they think they're entitled to all the intimate details of everyone's life just because you have a fucking internet connection and a microphone and a couple hours every day. I mean, it's just weird to me. And ma'am, why, who cares? Why isn't any skin off your nose if they're lying? I mean, I may be reacting to their video, but I damn sure am not making a video and putting up, records.
Respect one another.
So guys, wanted to do a quick update.
I gotta say, he looks a lot healthier than the last time I saw him, and thank God for that.
So, as I told you before,
And the girl that just put that up, she may not be the one that put up. There was some report that someone put up, and oh God, just why?
um, all this stuff that me and Aly were charged with did not come to pass. We were not found guilty. We were not convicted, and will actually be dismissed after a certain period of time.
Okay, so it's like a diversion program. It's like when I was 18 years old and I forged a check for $100 because my dumbass thought, oh, well, the worst, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to have to pay that $100 back. It's no big deal. I'll call my mom. She'll give it to me. No, ma'am, we call that forgery. And because you're only 18 years old and you're a complete dumbass, if you go ahead and plead no contest, which is what I did, we'll give you a diversion program. You be a good girl for 1 year while you're on probation. If you successfully complete probation, it doesn't show that I was convicted on my record.
So all the naysayers and the people that were hating and thinking they knew so much about
And that's why you shouldn't subject yourself to this.
our situation, they were wrong.
That was disturbing. Oh, here it is. Like, this is just fucking gross.
Okay.
Where
Now,
did he put that up?
this lady
No,
here,
that's her. Ugh.
she literally said I was lying and went on this tangent and then played the video of me saying exactly what I said.
Well, Cam, a lot of people thought you were lying. I didn't think you were being forthcoming myself. But would I do this? No.
In the video, no, nothing has been dismissed. But
No, it'll take 2
again,
years.
no, there was not enough evidence to convict, or they would have done it. Look,
Wait a minute. There's not enough.
look on here
So he
right
took a
now.
NOLO plea, which in effect is saying exactly what he's saying there is not. And I get it. He says that's what he had to do to keep his daughter off the stand. But if they were going to put his daughter on the stand, she was going to testify to something.
Screen right there, if you can see it. It says taken under a deferment.
Diversion.
So I had to go
deferment,
and explain
same
this
thing.
to John Davis True Crime and her. A deferment sentence.
No, but see, Cam, you don't have to explain it to anyone. But if you're going to come on here and you're going to talk about it, then you're going to feel like you have to explain it. And the way to not explain it is to stay out of this fucking snake pit and take care of yourself and your wife. Get your life back together. Get your kids back.
Is where parties are not found guilty. They are not convicted. And after a period of time and all things are met by the court, the case is dismissed. It's just being held on good behavior for 2 years.
I don't know that it's dismissed. I'm trying to think how mine. I don't know. But what goes along with this is it will still, there's something you can do. You can still, it will still show up. If you don't want it to show up at all, you have to get it expunged, I believe. In Florida. I don't know about where he is.
But I'm the one lying. Also,
why are you putting in yourself in a position
this
to
same
have
channel
to
right here is the one that is now posting my mom's Cash App for my kids.
And that's fucking gross. And whoever you are, ma'am, talk about no fucking boundaries. That's gross. And why the fuck is his mother coming to YouTube, if that is in fact happening, and asking for her Cash App to be posted? If she can't afford to take care of the children, then they need to go to someone who doesn't have to fucking come to YouTube, where nobody does anything for any altruistic purpose. I'm sure there was some type of currency that got exchanged. It's just gross. It is. God, it's so gross.
Did I not say from the get-go this would be about money? Did I ever bring my kids up and ask for Cash App for my kids on here? I didn't even get any government help for our kids. We didn't get any of those things free from the government.
Good for you.
So,
Back to the good old days. I don't know. Working.
You know,
everybody's got their hand out.
It is like, what it is. I mean, people can see the truth, or they can. I'm not. I'm not on camera. My camera don't work, so you can say hi. I was just explaining here. People were saying, "Oh, you don't have to explain yourself." I said, "I'm not explaining myself," but I said I took pride in.
You're explaining things as you see it.
Said now what you're left with getting information is from people who literally played a video and called me a liar, but then on their screen shows a deferred sentence. And then I had to go on John Davis in a comment and say, give him the definition of deferment. Also,
but you know what, Cam? You and Aly, you're both well-spoken. If you feel that, and I do, I seriously, I understand how infuriating it is when you feel like people are lying about you. Or, you can prove they're lying about you. I get it. But in the big scheme of things, who fucking cares? You have got much more important things to worry about than YouTube.
If you get your information from him, he went on a search in West Virginia and told everybody it was Tennessee in his videos. I called him out on it in his videos.
Yeah, I don't
he
know
got upset, but he still didn't fix it. Also, Lulu, I would love to join a support group for parents in similar circumstances. I'll tell you this right now. Allison has always held a career that she has been respected. Her opinion matters. She was held with a lot of responsibility. And when we first went in and spoke to these people at social services, we were called a liar over and over and over and over. And when Allison said, she said, why are you not, the woman said, why are you not nursing right now? She said, because COVID really took a toll on me. And the woman at social service said, well, COVID's over, honey. You know what? That's real fresh. Hey, yeah, it's over.
And I do believe that Aly was a registered nurse.
It affected all of us, she said. No, you know what? Maybe not. Yeah, you were watching people die. But that's the people that you have. And also, the people that are in there taking people's children away are not parents either. They have no children.
Okay, Cam, how in the hell would you know that, by the way? And see, this is the kind of shit that it does not do anything to help your case, much like CPS is trafficking in children. Now, nobody who works there has children, so they don't know about children. You would have no way of knowing that. And
so they don't know how it is to raise children either.
Well, when you're doing a job, you don't, when a doctor if an orthopedist fixes a broken leg, he does surgery on it. Well, he doesn't have to have himself. He himself does not have to have had a broken leg to know how to fix it. People at CPS, it's a job. They have a lengthy list of, ethical standards and requirements and statutes that they work under. They don't have to have children to be able to determine when a child needs to be removed.
Yeah, they don't know how they're affecting children. like I told you on the last one, they tried to say that we were having bad hygiene on our children because our daughter had one tangle in her hair because she.
Okay. One tangle. When I hear one tangle, I think like sometimes at the nape of my neck at night, if I don't put my hair in a ponytail, like I'll get a little knot back there that you then have to, work out with a rat tail comb. One tangle. Well, I guess it's strictly a tangle could be this big, or it could consume half your head.
She hid it from us because she didn't like her hair being brushed.
And I could.
I'm sorry, there's lots of little girls and children that do that.
Yes,
and best
absolutely.
believe it didn't just
Lots of
leave it
kids
for
hate getting
eternity.
their hair brushed.
She got her hair brushed, but she was very good at hiding it.
See, this is another thing that sounds totally implausible. And she's gonna explain how this happens. But basically what they're saying is, well, yeah, we would, shampoo her hair every night or whatever, and it would be brushed and it would be fine. But sometime between the time they brushed her hair and the following morning, there was one tangle. If it was noted in a report, something tells me it was more than one tangle, especially if there was an investigator that had been there any length of time, because kind of like cops, they get kind of, I hate to use the word hardened, but they see some egregious things on the daily. I think they can distinguish between one tangle and something that needed to be noted as poor hygiene. Okay. This is also something you're saying that sounds implausible.
I didn't say that cold case, Crystal. I did not. That never came out of my mouth. Somebody else said the trafficking thing. I said social service workers get bonuses when they.
Excuse me. No. You did say they trafficked in children, and then you talked about the bonuses.
Remove children from their homes. Now, there has been speculation as to children going missing in the foster care system.
Oh, I don't take issue with that at all. Florida is notorious for a god-awful child welfare system. I can tell you, I've lived here my entire life. I am a native to Florida. I can think of at least 3 off the top of my head name changes for CPS, because we'd have some horrible god-awful case where a child who was in care would die some horrific death, or they didn't remove children, that they were forging how many visits the worker made. And every time some huge god-awful story would come to light, they would change their name. And that's the truth. So I don't take any issue with what he just said there.
And is it trafficking? I don't know. I don't have proof or answers to that.
Come on.
But it seems really weird. Going back to Summer Wells' case, did you know there was 4 social workers there looking out at the whole house, the back doors and everything the day before she went missing?
No, I didn't know that. But if they were, everyone knows that there was talk of they were coming back, that social services, CPS, DCF, whatever they call it there, that they'd been there a lot and that they were coming back. I guess Candace wasn't answering the door. So it doesn't surprise me at all if they were there the day before, that they would be looking at everything, because that's how they justify and make a determination to remove a child. Which, by the way, when they remove a child, it's got to stand up to the scrutiny of the first hearing with a judge. They have to prove why that child should remain in care.
And that's real funny too. Cam, that was not one tangle. Here's Ava saying, Cam, that was not one. Yes, it is one tangle.
And how would this person in the chat know? See, that's what I'm saying. Like all this is just winding him up. And I don't know how the person in the chat would know if it was one tangle or one gigantic mat.
Well, thank you. Rain has naturally curly hair.
See, and like he even used her name there. I hate that. I hate that I know your daughter's name. And I love that name. I think it's absolutely adorable. But I shouldn't know it, and I wish I didn't. And I say that because of all the other people that heard it that aren't going to be as, listen, there's a lot of people on here who they don't have the scruples I have. And I just hate that you said I shouldn't know your daughter's name.
She would pull it up in a ponytail to hide it because she would scream and throw a fit if you tried to brush her hair. Allison, come here. Speak about this this tangle.
I literally can wash it the next morning whenever she wakes up after I brushed it and everything. When she wakes up the next morning, it's stained every day.
Oh, let's go ahead and tell the truth about that too.
Okay. And I don't have a hard time believing that, but that does not, in my mind, that does not equate to being to rising to the significance that it needs to be noted in a CPS report as poor hygiene.
When mom came to try to pick them up, we said tonight was not a good night because you were in the bathtub trying to pull the condition and peanut butter and everything else, trying to get that
peanut butter to get
tangle
tangles out. I mean, whatever happened to fucking Johnson and Johnson? No more tears or whatever. I've just never heard of putting peanut butter. I've heard using peanut butter or ice for gum. I mean, it doesn't. I'm sorry, it just doesn't make sense.
told to you, I'll work on it, I'll help you too. But no.
My sisters all the time. I've always had to do this all the
Yeah.
time.
But you know, and then it was used to try to do something nefarious. It's hilarious.
It was there or it wasn't. I mean,
no, it's hilarious the things that people have done.
And what I just don't get, if the child was bathed every night and her hair was washed every night and brushed out to, I guess you could miss little tiny things here and there. I'm just not understanding, unless she spins on her head when she sleeps. I don't understand how you could get any kind of tangling of that much significance, ponytail or not, if she was daily being bathed and had her hair washed. That's it. That's what I don't get.
Gotten away with through this. I don't care. I'm not going to argue with the idiots on here that know nothing. But, I came on here to speak my piece.
That's kind of the name of the game. And it sucks. And that's why I don't think you should be on here.
Oh, you couldn't hear Aly because she was standing in the kitchen. To be honest with you guys, she doesn't want to ever see this channel ever again. And
please, Cam, listen to Aly. Listen to her. She's right.
I'm right there with I did this tonight just to get things off my chest. I've been really
in case we don't make it all the way to the end, I'm going to tell you now, I was really hopeful. I heard him say this and I was like, thank God they get it. But at the end, he says, well, we're going to come back, just not doing the same thing.
Over the past little while, I've been really hurt.
And
All I
don't
can
doubt
think
that.
about is my children all the time. And
Then Cam, I would implore you, before firing up your YouTube channel again, truthfully, you should delete the whole fucking thing. But I would implore you, ask yourself, every time you want to do it, ask yourself, how is this going to benefit my children? Forget everybody else's children. You got to worry about your own. And that should make it really easy, because this shitty place is of no benefit in any way, shape, form, or fashion to your children.
you know, we have done everything that has been asked of us 10 times, 10 times over. And nobody wants to, no, they don't want to try to help move them back in to their home. I don't know. I'm not going to go into all the details about it. You know what? People are going to.
I can tell you this. They will both have, if those children are not back in their custody, which obviously they're not, I promise you they have a case plan, not to be confused with the safety plan. Safety plan is like the first step. Once a removal happens, there is a case plan where it will lay out in detail, line by line, item by item, of what is going to be expected of them, when they have to do it, and when the final determination on their case is going to be made. So they know what is expected of them.
Continue to try. This is the thing.
And those case plans, it will include everything from when they're expected to drug test. Obviously, there'll be random ones in there. Almost always, I've never seen a circumstance where they don't have to, unless they're disabled in some way and cannot work. Full-time, legal, regular employment is expected. Nothing is left to chance. Everything will be laid out, and the order and time frame it must be done for them to get their children back. And typically, the more they accomplish on that case plan, the more visitation they will get. Eventually, they will petition the court for unsupervised visitation, and then overnight visitation will start, and on it will go. It's a methodical process. And nothing is left to question. Well, I didn't know. So keep that in mind.
That's not family. And people that
Please
say
don't tell anyone
that
what you have
they
to do.
love you and try to say they love you, they do this out of love. That's not love. And then
Well, oftentimes it is absolutely done out of love. I know that, let's just say that he had a very traumatic, tumultuous upbringing. And I can absolutely, if the things he has said are true, I've never heard from the mother, obviously. I hope I never do. But I think he's got a lot of scars, and I think he's got a lot of trauma that it would take a lifetime to work through. And, I think he comes by all that pretty legitimately. I don't think he had a walk in the park growing up.
not take the kids to their,
and I can understand why he feels like this. Whether
the
it's
office,
true or not,
you don't show up for
I can
good
understand why.
majority of them. And, then there's excuses all the time to go. And,
Fuck the excuses. You should have made a motion to the court to get your court-ordered visitation. Judges take that shit very seriously. See, this is where he loses me. I do not believe this.
no, I'm not getting all of it, but it's hurt. I've missed ball games seeing my child go through these stages in her life where, you know, these are times that were very important to us.
I mean, honestly, this breaks my heart. It really does.
Yeah,
I believe him.
I don't know. It's all good.
I have no doubt it hurt them. But it's within their power to fix it. And YouTube will not help.
You know what? I don't care what, you know, I don't care what anybody says about us anymore. I know the truth. God knows the truth. And there's a lot of people that know the truth as well. And, you know, I'm also, you know, even through me going into recovery on my own accord, not being forced to by anybody. You know, after years on the channel, pleading my innocence of being sober and being called a liar all the time. And I admitted to when I felt weak. But you know what? I also, no, I'm not saying that because I don't have purpose. I didn't do anything to hurt my, and I will never say I did. But I'll take accountability and say that if there was any kind of problem, they've been fixed. I went and fixed things that I said fix me. I don't know what's wrong, but please just fix.
Oh God, see this right here. Like this part was hard for me to listen to.
I've done everything I know to do.
Because I have no doubt that he really feels that.
I don't know. Do you want to say something? They said they wanted to hear you. They couldn't hear you.
I just appreciate the people who have not turned on
You have
us.
to talk into this.
But I appreciate the people who have not turned on us and who have been patient and not the lies that have been pushed about us. And I love you guys, and I really do appreciate all of the prayers and thoughts that we have had coming our way in the last year.
No, I want to tell them about this too. This is one thing too. You know, we were in recovery and people were telling us to get in recovery and were telling us we weren't. I have proof and records that I've been in recovery for going on, what is it, a year?
And
11 months. And we went to a program that is not just going and getting medically assisted recovery. We have to do groups daily. In the first part, you have to go daily to see them, and if they tell you when you go in, if you don't, you know, if you're forced to be here, we don't want you. I'm proud of where we went and where we've come from,
And you should be. And I hope you're still going to meetings. I don't know if you I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you have to go every day or what, but I mean, I know plenty of people who have addictions of all kinds, and I know it's a lifetime thing. Like you have to go to meetings always. I mean, I know I can think just on my like family friends that I've known. Oh my God. Well, I'd say 40 plus years. I can think of several that are alcoholics that still 50 plus years later still go to AA meetings weekly. Now, not every day of the week, and they sponsor people. I mean, it's a lifetime of a commitment to staying sober. I mean, I don't know if it's I don't know. I mean, I can't say if it's a lifetime struggle, but I would imagine it is. I mean, if you need to go to meetings, I mean, whatever your poison may be for the rest of your life, well, then obviously it is a struggle.
at the same time, you know what? I'm I'm not going to say that. Like, you know, the excuses that come up though through all this is we don't want to raise your children. But well, then how come
They typically don't.
we've done nothing to prove we're doing good and we're doing better than ever? But yeah, but
Because it takes time and you have a case plan and you have to prove over that period of time that you are capable and committed to doing everything the department asks you. That's unfortunately the way it is. You don't just get to say, okay, well, I've done this. And I'm much better. You have to prove it.
what? Yeah, and that we're competent parents, just like we were before. By the way, you know, our kids were in all the gifted programs, honor roll. That was
that is
never taken into
amazing.
account too. That
That's
they were in
amazing.
the gifted program, extracurricular activities. Their grades never struggled. Actually, since they went to their new school, my
I love that. I think that's fantastic. Somebody has to break the cycle, Cam, and I hope they do. Education, I firmly believe education is the key to a good life. In what, and that doesn't just mean, you know, a 4-year college degree. There's all kinds of, you know, not everybody's, sounds like your kids are, but not everybody's built for college or wants to go to college. But it's so, education is so important and nobody can ever take it away from you. And the more you have, I firmly believe the better your life will be.
son and my daughter had lower grades than they ever had it when they were with us. So
Of course, because they're going through a fucking complete upheaval, traumatic event. Stands to reason. I'd be
yeah.
shocked if it was anything else.
They are getting all the credit for.
Yeah, they're getting the credit for saying they've just done so good with my kids. My kids have always done. We raised them their whole life. The manners they have, they had. I'll say that because a lot of people have noticed that their behavior has kind of changed drastically.
Of course it has. Which is why it's so important. Get the fuck off of YouTube and focus on your case plan and what you have to do to get your kids back. Fuck this place. This place is meaningless. I wouldn't trade one thing in my real life for this place. And I hope you won't either.
They're just, yeah, they're being rude to each other and saying it's not been good.
Of course it hasn't been good.
I love them unconditionally. But I think it's funny that these people, so you know that our guardian ad litem has not come and seen us one time.
I can also tell you that the guardian ad litem will absolutely be mandated that there's going to be X amount of times they're going to have to visit. It's just the way it is. They maybe haven't gotten there yet. I don't know why. But I can promise you that it'll be mandated. And guardian ad litems, even though I think in some states a guardian ad litem might be paid. Here in Florida, it's voluntary. You don't get paid for it. However, that does not mean that you do not have a supervisor and everybody sits around the table with the supervisor and all the ongoing cases. And I believe they do that at least monthly.
He spoke to us one time at the courthouse
to tell us to sit down.
Told me to sit down and shut up. He has not talked to me or spoke to me since. So tell me how he has a good gauge of how the parents are and all that if he's never spoke to us.
He will speak to you eventually.
The thing about this
guardian ad litems have to write reports regularly.
Trying to move away from this guy.
And if I'm not mistaken, every CPS case, I believe, has a monthly hearing where the representative from CPS, the caseworker, oftentimes not just the caseworker, but the supervisor of the caseworker is there in court, the guardian ad litem, if there is one, or the children's attorney, whatever the case may be, either or both, and the parent. So there's a lot he's not saying, and that's okay. He doesn't have to say it, but that guardian ad litem will speak with them
They can state,
and
and
visit.
I think that was one of his.
Oh God. Oh, I have to stand.
Oh, we've done nothing but with good intention. Look, I don't, I had to block my mother's number because of the harassing text and putting me down all the time.
That is so sad.
Telling me how dare I go get a home to live in. I should have just lived in a motel where we were struggling to get. We were getting kicked out every other day because it's freaking $400 a week to live in a motel. But yet I found a place.
Wow, $1,600 a month, and I'm sure it's nothing nice.
And I was told how dumb I was for doing that. The judge has literally had to tell her to give the kids the phone and walk out of the bedroom because we can't even talk to them. We have to talk through her. Why? If there's not anything that she's wanting, if there wasn't.
Listen, there are parents. All of this is nothing they haven't dealt with on the regular. There are even parents who have to go to the CPS office to have phone/video visitation with their kids, and it is monitored. So my suggestion to you, if this is all as you say it is, well, file a motion with the court and ask for something like that.
Something she's trying to block them from saying or be all. Then why is she constantly on top of them, worried what they're going to say to us or talk to?
I'm telling you.
I mean, I don't understand that.
I've heard judges say that they'll reduce it to writing in an order that the children are to be able to speak with. I mean, they will go so far as to set it up ahead of time that, the parent is to have phone visitation with the child every, let's just say Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from, 6 o'clock in the evening until 6:30, unsupervised by the placement. They've heard all of this before. This can be dealt with.
And if they didn't have faith in me as a parent before, then it really, it took you 10 years to finally step in to do something for my kids. You know what? Back in the day, there was times that I was really, really in bad shape, and I did beg out for help. This was years ago. Guess who was there for me then when I was asking for help? Nobody. Nobody came to help me. But when it looked.
And I hate that. And my heart breaks for you. It really does. But sometimes you've just got to do what you've got to do.
Like that we were, where there could be some kind of financial gain from something. Just, that's what happened.
Do you know, see, this always puzzles me. Like, what guardians get in benefits. Now, I don't know about Social Security and all that crap, but the very small stipend they get from, well, it would be from the state. It's nothing. It's not, it doesn't even come close to what it costs to take care of a child properly. So this thing about, well, they're just doing it for the money. Well, I don't know. I guess if you're an absolute shitbag and you just take the money and you do absolutely nothing for the kids, and even then, it's not a lot of money.
and get swooped in.
Nowhere close to what it costs
Yeah.
to take care of them properly.
I could care less about money or anything. You know, it really shows what people's drive is in this life. It says in the Bible that in the end times, people will be lovers of themselves, not
Well, we're
others.
definitely in the
And
end times then. But I tend to think it's always been that way.
they will be willfully ignorant, meaning that they will be stupid on purpose. They will act like they don't know what's going on, and they're just oblivious to stuff on purpose. No, it's happening all the time, every day. BB Diamond, do we have jobs now? You know what?
See, this part puzzles me too. It makes me think the answer to that question is no. And I don't know if it is or not, but it's just odd. He's so forthcoming with so many of these details that are none of our business. But this is a place where he's kind of like it's like he's trying to figure out how he should answer this. And you don't owe any of us anything, which is why, for the millionth time, I don't understand why you're on here saying any of this. But this is the kind of shit you're going to get. I wouldn't. I would never like come to your channel just to ask you shit like this. But there's plenty of people who will. But there's something very odd in his response to this.
If I said yes, would you even believe it? I was called a liar, said I didn't have a job for years before. So, you know,
I mean, it's a pretty straightforward question. It's just yes or no.
You might even say that I'm not even going to hint at it.
You've hinted at everything else. So why? I mean, you've just out and out talked about all the shit that nobody should know. But I mean, I would certainly understand if you are working. Well, by God, by all means, do not tell anybody where. Don't even give them enough information to guess where. But it's just kind of odd.
I'm doing very well, extremely well. Thank you.
Great. I mean, that's amazing. I hope you are. I hope both of you are.
Came on this channel for the past since 2020. We poured our souls out to you guys. What you see is what you get. You know, I thought it was hilarious. I'm the first person to put my record out on here, my criminal record, when I started this channel. You saw the amount of creators that their first move was to try to attack me over my criminal history.
Cam, in this neighborhood we're rolling around in, I would say there's more people that have a criminal history than do not.
Well, you know what? And these people are followed by people, and that's what's sad. I mean, your main goal is to try to dig up something on somebody and point the stick out in theirs when you might have a log in your own. You know, most of the time that's how it works. Deflect. Look what everybody else is doing, and don't look at me. No, I'm not Seymour. Look, I'm not giving anything about my personal life or my job or anything. I'm not telling them.
Yeah, don't. But you've already given us 50 minutes of your personal life that
you know,
we know about.
And curiosity, I'm not coming back to true crime, but my channel is coming back, and we're going to be talking about things that are interesting to us. I'm not going to be doing anything that.
Well, then my question would be to you, do you plan on just changing the name of your existing channel? Are you going to start an all new channel? Because I think you have quite a few subs. I if you really want to leave all this behind, I honestly, I just, to me, they're going to do what they're going to do. But in his own words, he said the very first thing that CPS told him, I believe it was CPS. It was either CPS or the court. But he said the very first thing they told him was, get rid of your YouTube channel. Cam, there's a reason they told you that. And there's a reason I'm telling you, in my opinion, you should do that.
I'm not going to be doing anything that has anything to do with.
Well, if you
true
don't
crime,
burn your
because
existing channel to the ground and start all over fresh, do you really think you're going to get? I mean, a rose is a rose. What is it? A rose by any other name is still a rose.
People, you know, we did it to try to help people, and then you saw what these other channels came in.
Help yourself. Charity begins at home. It's wonderful that you want to help people. There are other ways to help people, but right now you need to help yourself. You've got a lot you need to accomplish, both of you, to get your children back. And I say that only because I know you've got to have a case plan, and you have to work the case plan. You have to prove to the judge that you've done everything that was asked of you. You don't have time to be fucking around on YouTube.
To East Tennessee and tried to do. It caused so many problems. You know, Don got fired from his job because Bullhorn and all them showed
He's
up
right about
screaming
that.
at his work. You know, at the end of the day, there was no evidence pointing at anybody. That little girl just up and disappeared, and it looked like a pretty professional job, if you ask me. Now that we've gotten into all these things, those
Worry about getting your own children home.
people, you know, if they say for a second
Damn.
that it could have.
Take Summer Wells. Do you not believe, like most of us do who followed it, do you not believe that all the crackpot YouTube people contributed to possibly her case not moving forward as quickly as it could have? All the wackos calling in bullshit tips. I mean, do you not think YouTube has hindered the Summer Wells case? I can't see anything YouTube has done for the Summer Wells case. So why? Like, you've got your own kids to worry about. YouTube isn't going to do anything good for them either.
Could have been social services or whatever they're called in Tennessee. Would there be evidence at all? No. Do you think that Don and Candace can get rid of every stitch of evidence and they couldn't even clean the house up properly sometimes?
I don't know. My thoughts on what happened to Summer, they've changed a little bit over time, but I believe one or both of them know exactly where she is, to answer your question. I may be very wrong. And I'll apologize if I am, but that's just how I feel about it. And just because people don't live a certain way, there's a lot of people that are quite skilled at criminal behavior and very inept at life skills.
But yet people said that they could complete, could do the most perfect crime. It doesn't make sense.
There is no perfect crime.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Tragedy pimps exposed. Look, that's what's funny too. And they're being given answers that are not true. So why?
Well, and this wouldn't be happening were he, well, I need to, I know what she's talking about. Well, I agree 100% with that. Yeah. Cher talking to the mom. Jesus. I don't even get that
If
at all.
think
But
about
I don't
this.
get a lot of things
So
on here, so
why would
that's okay.
the other side of my family that is doing this, why would they be trying to tell us we did one live a night, right? 1 hour a night, tried to say that our kids were not taken care of for 1 hour. How many lives was Aly?
This is a straw man. I don't believe that anybody. I think the problems were much, much bigger than a 1 hour YouTube show. Come on, Cam.
Not on those lives because she was with the kids. Then to have the people that are accusing us for being on our channel on social media, on YouTube, talking about everything and anything and everything about my children
That
who
was
are
horrible.
minors, about the case they were.
And that, I mean, you've said several things that have prompted me to say to you, you should have filed a motion to fill in the blank. But this one here, if that was true, and I remember I told Cher she was a bag of shit for doing that. What fucking mother would come and put other children's, I mean, she was telling everyone that, oh, what about when you didn't show up for this and you tested positive for that? I mean, it was foul. And coming from her, oh boy, wasn't all that quite rich.
Were involved in and all that, but yet they're there to protect them. And now they're asking for cash apps and everything too. She erased them now, but I have them. I have screenshots of all of them. I have screenshots of her.
Well, apparently it's not against the law to do things in very poor taste. There's a whole lot of that goes on around here.
Saying that she's been talking to
And it is. It's gross.
my mom frequently. And John Davis True Crime also said the same thing. So if that parent really cared about the parents of her grandkids, boy, going to YouTube and starting more problems seems like
Yeah, I mean, I'm with him
that
100%
really would
on
be
this.
helpful, don't it?
Disgusting. Foul.
Guys, go back and watch my channel from the beginning. I told you everything you need to know about the woman who has my kids. Another thing is CPS turned my kids over and let them go stay with it. Okay, my mom used a different last name to her new husband. They didn't even know about her convicted felony for distribution.
That is very bizarre to me as well, because I just don't see how that could be the case unless they absolutely just didn't do any due diligence on her, because, you know, the databases they have access to, they put a name in, and every name you've gone by, they should be able to see. I mean, so that just doesn't ring true to me either.
And narcotics and bribery on an officer. I don't even have those charges, but yet they put my kids in her care. Oh wow! Come on.
I gotta
And-
say, I question that myself. Like, and I understand she's, you know, apparently changed her life. And I think that's great. But that doesn't mean that if there are more qualified people who do not have the baggage, especially when you factor in the allegations that he has made about his mother, it's just too much. It's too much. So why they didn't look for someone, I mean, they always prefer family. Then they go to family friends. The last choice is always foster care, but sometimes there is no other choice.
You know, my wife's mom has no criminal background whatsoever.
See, I don't get that. Why
Has
they
done
didn't go to
nothing,
her.
but they wouldn't put my kids in her care.
Well, if that's the case, you can be sure that there's some reason for it. See, with him, I think he's doing what we all do. He is leaving out details that are probably pertinent to things that he is saying. So if that's true, well, it makes me think that there's something he's not telling us. Like maybe that could very well be the case about the mom. but possibly there's someone in the home or close to her that they didn't like something they saw with that person. Who knows? I'm strictly guessing, but I think what's not being said factors into some of these things that he's saying. Yeah, I mean, and who knows why?
You know, this is what hurts right here. Because I know the people that really truly watched us forever. They were dedicated to us. They know everything about us.
Stop worrying about them. They mean nothing in your life. I mean, are you trying to salvage a YouTube channel or what? I mean, I get it. If you're a decent person, you have gratitude that, I say all the time, I'm glad anybody wants to hear one fucking thing I have to say for 5 minutes. I mean, it's quite humbling. But at the end of the day, I'm not jeopardizing anything in my personal life. My child's grown, but for YouTube, like, I get it. You're grateful, but in the big scheme of things, who fucking cares? This is meaningless, this place.
Every little detail. Because I didn't hide anything from anybody. When my children walked in the room, I gave them my full attention. I turned the camera off and the microphone off, and I dealt with what the kids needed.
As you should have. And I don't know if that's true or not. I'm taking his word for it. But I can tell you this. To come on and do a 1-hour show, especially the kind of stuff they did. Well, let's not pretend that doesn't involve some prep, I'm assuming. So it's not just a 1-hour endeavor.
No weapon formed against you shall prosper. I do know that 100%. But as this time goes by, it's like, let my babies come home. When there has been no proof of anything through this.
Bullshit. I don't believe that. I would love to believe that, but I don't believe that because it defies logic. It does not make sense. And if your children are still out of your custody and CPS is still involved in your life, then you have a case plan and you have a determined period of time in which to finish the case plan. That's why they're not back in your custody, I would imagine. You haven't completed your case plan.
If my mom yelling top of her lungs, you wouldn't be going to treatment if you didn't have an issue. Well, come to find out, I believe I told everybody in the beginning of my channel, I've been in recovery for 4 years before this all started. I was a certified substance abuse counselor.
That
is
amazing. And truth be told, I think you could do so much more good doing that than anything you can do on YouTube and getting involved in these cases that, while I have no doubt your intentions are good, y'all are not qualified to be doing this. There is a reason law enforcement, they have to have training. Even professional search organizations, they don't let you just come and sign up and okay, there you go. We'll see you in a couple hours. No, there's training involved. God forbid you find something. I'm not going to keep going on about it, but my God, Cam, go and do that. If you can help other people, lift them up from where you were, we'll just say were. Well, that to me would be far more rewarding than anything on here.
It wasn't for the things that I've learned, I wouldn't be able.
And y'all, I'm going to wrap this up in about, what time did I start? 12:15. It's been 3 hours. I try and listen. It's way too long for me or anybody else to be talking this long, but let's see, we'll go to another 10 or 15 minutes because I got I got stuff out that I need to make for dinner, so 10 or 15 more minutes. But it's going to go on much in this vein.
Got myself back on the right track. But you know what? She's the kind that, she tells me that if I really, truly, no, I'm sorry. My mom is one of these people that thinks she can tell me how God feels about me all the time.
Well, Cam, don't listen to her. That's all I can say. Don't listen to her. You obviously have a relationship with God, and that's between you and him. I don't give a shit what your mom tells you.
That God is angry with me, and that if I would just tell the truth,
I mean,
God,
I don't believe that.
He would help me more. This is what she
I guess
says.
her brand of God is not
And
the same as mine.
It's crazy. She's also told me that
tune that shit out. That's the kind of shit you don't have to listen to.
That God will soon get fed up with me and he'll turn his back on me if I don't.
What the hell kind of, like, what fucking church does your mom go to? I don't get it. And she's wrong. And I'm not even particularly religious, but I do believe in God, and I don't believe I don't believe any of that.
If I keep messing up, this is what she says, even though I wasn't messing up and I was talking to her about how good we were doing.
I think a lot of his issues stem from his very dysfunctional relationship with his mother.
I blocked her phone number.
And it's sad.
We left Ally's phone open for the kids to call. My life has been so much more peaceful.
Well, good. As long as they have a way to get in touch with you. And please make sure that the court knows that you did that CPS knows that you did that, because, and I'm only telling this because I want to see you guys succeed. That while I understand your reasoning for doing it, it may not look good to CPS or to a court. So I would discuss that with your caseworker.
But a lot of times though, man, people, it is a proven fact that addiction is a sickness. It is a mental illness.
Okay.
People do not get on drugs thinking, oh, this is great. I can't wait to this, this is going to help my life.
Most people are self-medicating for things that they're hurting over, and it's an escape.
Better. No. People run to them because that's the only comfort they can get sometimes, because people don't pay attention to them. All these people, in my life, okay, speaking about those people too, you know how many times I called and told my mom I was depressed and I needed help? I was so depressed, I called her crying. Nobody came and helped me.
And I hate that. But sometimes you got to help
everybody
yourself.
thinks that then that that they've become Sherlock Holmes and that they're more educated than the rest of the world. First of all, I would always think if it was my children, okay, listen to this. So I'm going to go ahead and put it out this way, and I don't care who hears it. If my children were going through addiction and were fighting addiction, the first thing I would do before anything else would be to love my children and let them know that they're loved.
I believe him. I really do. Because I tend to think that people, whoever we are, you raise your kids, to me, pretty much two ways. I don't know. I guess down the middle too. But, and I'm talking as someone who came from an intact, happy home. My parents are divorced now, but they didn't divorce until I was like 30 some odd years old. And my parents hid their issues real well because we were all pretty surprised. But I tend to think most people, you either do things just like your parents did them because you are well-adjusted, happy, you were cool with the way you were raised, or you do things the exact opposite. So I believe him, but you can't love away this kind of addiction.
And that I am there for them, not going behind their back.
Yeah,
and
he's
saying
got a lot.
things to other people
He's got a
and then
lot
not
of hurt.
coming to me telling me about it.
And I think he's probably
You know, if all
entitled
these
to it.
issues were so bad,
If a fraction of what he has said about his mother is true, no, he's entitled to have all this hurt. And it, you know, it may never go away. It sounds deep and extensive. But you got to try. You got to find a way to cope with it.
how come nobody came and talked to me and Allison about it before they went to social services and dealt? If
I don't know.
if you
That's
love, you know, like if it was the other way around and my children had a problem and I had
I hope you
grandchildren,
never have to
I
find
would
out.
definitely be trying to step in
Truly,
and fix the
I don't. I
problem
hope you never
before
find
it
out.
ever got to the court system. Because believe it or not, the court system is only used for people that can't use common sense and have a discussion with one another. So that court
Well,
system
what you
has
guys were dealing with cannot be, it's not just, oh, well, I have common sense, so I'll just deal with this on my own. I mean, if that worked, well, we wouldn't have all the problems in the world that we have.
to mediate between people. And the court system doesn't get in a hurry for anybody.
That is true.
So,
They do
you
not.
know,
Because
that's why
they're
these things
overburdened.
drag out for years and years.
But not a CPS case. A CPS case, it's not like an open-ended thing. It by statute, it must be dealt with, I think, in a year. I think a year is the typical time frame. It's not open-ended.
Because they make a next court
You're gonna
date
get your kids
and
back
they
or you're
sit and
not.
try to sit in a room while two people argue with one another like children. But you know, why was, you know, all they had to do was come and talk to us and be like, hey, you know, if there's anything, if y'all need help, look, we'll watch the kids, go get help. But nothing had ever done like that. Angie said, Cam, if you have an attorney, take CPS to court.
I don't know that you can even do that. There are certain government entities that are, you cannot sue. I don't know if it's, I guess you can sue CPS, but I think it's got to be in a situation where there's like a death involved or some horrific, Cam, get real. You're not suing CPS. Okay.
Look, I had paid attorneys, and
Well, you should have fired
I'll
them.
tell you how this town,
Because if it went down like you said, they didn't do you any
they go how they want them.
justice.
I said I was going to fight it to the very end. I was not. I said you know, I brought up everything I could need to bring up. I don't. They. I don't know how to get somebody to fight for me, and let's just go on to the state ombudsman's office, which I've already planned on doing.
I didn't understand what he just said, but
You know what though? You know, so through all this, guys, you know, we had our whole families turn their backs on us through this, except for a select few. We weren't invited to any holiday dinners. Me and Allison didn't have a place to stay there for a while. At one point in time, they told us to go stay in our storage unit.
I mean, this is one of those things. I don't even want to comment on it because, you know, we're only hearing his side of the story. None of us know. We don't know what all the family was going through, etc. So I'm not even gonna comment on that. It's sad.
I got a job at one point in time and was working really, really hard. The day before, I was told how much of an asset I had been to the place I was working, and the next day I was told my services were no longer needed. Come to find out, social services had called and made them fire.
I don't like that. I don't get that at all. It defies logic because part of a case plan is regular full-time legal employment. So I have no clue why they would try and get you fired from a job. I don't get that. It
We
makes
got us
no
kicked
sense
out
to
of a
me.
motel that we were staying in. But we never gave up and we got up and kept fighting. And we stayed sober through the whole thing of it too.
Good for
Because,
you.
if they're in these times when you lose everything, most people say, what is there to fight for anyway? Because they feel like they're not going to ever get them back. Look, believe me, I feel like that too to this day. Yeah, I don't either. And guys, the first thing I was told when I went into CPS for that meeting was to shut my channel. That's the truth.
And for very good reason. Just like the reason I'm telling you.
Shut my channel
down. Because I can see where it's going to go, where it's going to take you. Because like I said in the beginning, this YouTube is its own kind of drug. And if there's one single person who tells you it's not, well, they're probably lying to you. Because even we all clearly, if we have the stones to come on here, and whether you show your face, you don't show your face, but especially if you come on and show your face and you share parts of your life, you're not afraid of attention. I've never had a problem getting attention in my life, but I am wise enough and at the point in my life where I know that I could easily let this get out of control for me. As far as for me, it takes a mental toll on me. Like, it's just nothing but fucking negative that I talk about. It was funny because when I was telling my husband about Betty's latest antics, he looked at me and he goes, I just don't get it. It is beyond me why anybody wants to follow the every move of such an insignificant asshole. There's a million hers. There's a million Bettys running around out there. I'm like, no, not to her level. And he's like, it would be like firing up a reality show about the guy who works at the fucking convenience store up the street or the grocery store or the gas station and following their every move. Like they're significant in some way. I mean, no more than all the rest of us are. I'm just grounded enough to know and to acknowledge I am insignificant. I don't mean anything on this platform. And therefore, I will not get all caught up in the things that happen to people. I mean, you just watch it. You watch it happen to people. There is something that happens to people when they start really growing. I mean, it's flattering to have people want to listen to what you have to say. I just happen to know that people are very fickle on here and they will turn on a dime. I mean, yes, if you're lucky, you get people who are, very supportive of you and, they're loyal to you. But there's a whole lot of mofos on here drinking their own Kool-Aid who think they are famous or something. No, this is just some new. Thank God it wasn't around when I was growing up. That's all I'm going to say. There's 30 minutes left. I don't have 30 minutes left to give it. He doesn't say anything more, super significant, I don't think, than what we've already covered. The bottom line is I truly wish Cam and Aly the best. I hope. I know I'm not the only person telling them please stay off of YouTube. Please focus on yourself, focus on your kids. You guys are young. Your kids are young. You got a whole life ahead of you. don't give this place what it does not deserve. You are, I don't, you, it's just my opinion, but I can't be the only one who thinks it's true. You're not ready to come back here and get involved in this cesspool right now. You're too vulnerable in too many ways. So I hope if you hear anything I said, that you take it in the spirit in which it was intended, which was, I have been rooting for you. I'm still rooting for you. That doesn't mean I believe everything you said, because I don't. But I hope you guys will beat the odds, and I wish the best for you. So, well, kids, with that, I hope y'all will enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm going to go and cook something for the first time in, oh my God. My dinner usually involves a bowl and a spoon. Yes, I've decided it's time for me to start cooking, at least semi-regular. So I bought a bunch of vegetables at the store. I used to love to just get a big roasting pan and do, let's see, what did I put on my cutting board? Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, carrots, onions. I just put olive oil, salt, and pepper on it, throw it in the oven at 350 for, it's a decent sized pan, so probably at least a half hour, maybe 45 minutes. Yeah, I'm like, God, Lisa, you need to eat something that's green. Oh, I'm going to try and break up with sugar. I got to do it slowly, but I honestly, I barely eat meat anymore. I really don't care about it. My husband did make a really good, my favorite way, he made a giant Boston butt yesterday in the oven. See, he's got all the smokers and the grills, and he loves to do it that way. I don't know. I really like it. Was in there 8 hours. I don't know what he had it on, but and when I tell you this thing was bigger, it was bigger than a lot of babies I've seen, including mine when he was born. And it was really good. I mean, there's still tons of that left, but I ate that last night, and I don't know. I don't want it tonight. But I don't eat that much meat. No, I just eat sugar. And I'm going to try and get a hold of my, oh, it's going to be a rough, it's going to be a rough, I don't know. I don't know how long it takes. I've been eating nothing but sugar for a very long time. And I'm just like, oh God, it's so bad. I don't eat anything. As soon as my son moved out, like years ago, I cooked for a little while, but then, I mean, I used to cook a lot, and I'm actually a good cook. I just, with 2 people, I mean, cooking for 2 is hard. But my husband, Seymour, my husband could live on meat, salad, vegetables. He kind of does. I'm the one with the little sugar problem, the big sugar problem. And I'm like, when did this happen in my life? I never gave a shit. I've always loved cereal. I've always been a huge fan of the cereal. You know, Fruity Pebbles, Captain Crunch Berries. Yeah, none of the good cereals. I've always liked that, but like I never cared about ice cream, nothing. I ate a pint of, I think it was new from Ben and Jerry's. It was good. It was because I love cookies and cream. Bluebell cookies and cream is my absolute favorite. But they only make it in a half gallon. I'm like, I don't want a half gallon. Because trust me, I can eat a half gallon in 2 days. No problem. So I thought, okay, I'm only buying a pint. And I ate a pint in 2 days. I could have mowed through it in one sitting, but I made it last. I was like, this is out of hand. What was that called? It was peppermint ice cream with giant Oreo cookie pieces in it. Oh, it was so good. But yeah, I've got to stop with all this sugar. It's just, and I started kind of exercising again. Listen, my exercise, it's 15 minutes a night, but it's better than 0 minutes a night. And all I do is, I do some dumbbells, little bit of from back in the day, believe it or not, Jane Fonda workout. And you go ahead and laugh at me, but I am telling you, take a look at Jane Fonda. Okay. That shit worked 25 years ago when I did it. And it works now, but I only do there's only certain leg things I do that are Jane Fonda. And then I do the ab carver, and that's it. That's all. I call it a day. 15 minutes. That's my max. And no cardio. Fuck that. I hate cardio. I mean, does anybody like cardio? I do not. And I'm going to do everything I can to never do it again. One thing at a time. So, all right, kids. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope y'all had a good weekend. And tomorrow, I think we're going to go over the raging bull skank, the raging bull skank. Yes, because I did see there's a channel that has it up because of course she's deleted it. It's like, Betty, why do you even bother, dumbass? Do you realize that there are channels dedicated to doing nothing but screen recording everything you do? Because you have one of these fucking mental break meltdowns. You go on you rage stream and then you delete. You dirty delete. Yeah. And here's my thing. People are saying, oh, well, she's, Bullhorn Betty, she's having a real mental issue right now. As opposed to what? When she showed up in front of the laundry's house with a fucking bullhorn screaming, she wasn't having a mental issue then. I mean, I don't know. I've never known anybody in my life who did that. It looks like she's always had one. That's just my opinion, and I'm not diagnosing her, and I'm not telling you that you should think that. That's just what I think based on her behavior and the things that she does. So while I would agree that she does seem to be on a whoop, but I'm sorry, I'm not above. I'm not above discussing it. And it is out there. And the channel that I will probably play, theirs only came out it had been about 12 hours when I saw it this morning. So obviously I'm not going to play their content for at least 24 hours. But I was planning on tomorrow because Tuesday and Thursday, I think I have something to do Tuesday and Thursday. So I already did all my housework this morning. I got up early. That's all done. So tomorrow we're going to talk about the raging bullhorn. That wouldn't really be specific enough, would it? Because she's always raging about something. But I think it'll be entertaining if nothing else. So yes, kind of like Betty, is Robert De Niro going to play you? Oh God. And I've been working on some thumbnails over the weekend that I think you will find amusing. All right. Well, I bid you adieu, and I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, pussycats, until we meet again. Bye.